record here thing.
Good call.
Fullcaster Podcast, episode 0. This is the very first one, my friend. Are you ready to do this?
I think so.
I should
Get
say
this over with.
it's the very first one, like live, and the first one we're going to put
one
up.
we're putting out there,
but
yeah.
it's actually our fourth one we recorded. We recorded a few of them this weekend. We're live now, but this is not going to be a live show, right? This is going to be proper podcast status.
Just doing it for the first one, help get the ball rolling and whatnot. But from here on out, after this one, standard podcast, like you're saying, uploaded to a website, available for people to check out later on.
And everything, your Apple Podcasts, your Spotify's, all that kinds of good stuff. So it is going to be a proper podcast thing. I want to thank everybody for joining us on the internets, on the Facebook Lives. Again, episode 0 here of the Fullcaster Podcast, a karting conversation. A new project for Dirk and I here. Basically, here on this first episode, we're just going to be BSing a little bit, talking about who we are, for those of you who don't already know who we are, via, say, CalSpeed Live. CalSpeed Live is not this. This is our
completely
own,
different.
Yeah, this is our own deal right here.
I know a few of you recognize the wall behind us, but that's just for being easy on ourselves. But yeah, something completely different. Mike and I want to start off a while ago. But yeah, it's just as our own thing. So not affiliated with anything except for a new direction.
A new direction.
So
thank you for that. Nice cups here. Our good buddy, Darren Mercer, is our guest today, and he is the entrepreneur extraordinaire, the lead of the new direction. And we're going to get into that stuff a little bit later today with him. But again, this episode's all about talking about what Fullcaster Podcast is. And if we're not talking to you a whole heck of a lot, it's because it's typically this thing right here. But we're having you guys join in on this thing.
This is open-ended, by the way. So the idea is we have our set stuff we want to try to talk about with each other about what the podcast is and all that. But once we have Darren on or any other guest, it's open-ended. And with this one being live, tune in and out all you want. Because, we don't really know how long this thing can go.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Till tomorrow.
Yeah. Enough battery.
There's actually a 4-hour limit to these things.
Is there?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
Then you have to stop and start it again.
Oh, there you go.
Darren's got nothing else going on, so we'll probably just roll on through.
Nice. So there's that.
Real quick, for those of you guys just joining us or just checking it out here, obviously it's not in our standard studio, if you will, the office. We do have a couple of just things on display. What we got here is my helmet, Stilo KRT, and actually the exact same thing right over across the way, Derek Escabel's newly wrapped helmet, also a Stilo from Magic Graphics. Looks pretty badass, buddy.
Thank you. I'm stoked with it came out.
So the Magic
Yours
Graphics,
looks good too.
yeah, it's okay. Magic Graphics did both of ours. I was kind of guinea pig on that deal, and then Derek's is the one that just came. You got it last
Friday, Thursday or Friday, yeah.
Man. And then just in front of those, we have the prints that we've gotten from CKN, from Cody Schindel from the Challenge of the Americas.
Challenge of the Americas in front of me, and actually. Oh, same for you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The other one I had the other print is the one from On Track Promotions, which I flipped the doodad to make sure I had the Stilo on there. But once again, we're gonna kind of talk a little bit more about who we are, what we're doing, what this thing's all about. Obviously, we are filming here at CalSpeed, as we talked about before. This is not CalSpeed Live. This is our own gig, and it's really just about having conversations with cool people in the industry, whether they be drivers or whether they be coaches or
team
officials,
owners.
Anything.
Yeah,
absolutely. And there's a lot of them here in SoCal, so we should have
We're pretty lucky.
A lot of different opportunities to talk with some cool people. Going to try to roll through my my script here. Have a little bit more extra to do because of the live thing. Just want to try to make sure we get a shout outs to everybody that we need to. And I do want to thank, who's off camera right now, Sarah Bantai. She actually helped us out with the logo stuff. I got to thank the wife, Becky Smith, and Heather Parent also for jumping in and helping out with the logo stuff. I think it turned out pretty damn good. We actually went through Fiverr.com. A shout out to Sean Buer, who actually push us in that direction. Like, hey, go try that out. We got the baseline one for like $30.
Yeah.
And then use slave labor. Sarah Bantai to
the other S word.
Nice to actually have the finishing touches done on it, and I think it looks brilliant.
No, it definitely was the direction we wanted to go once she got her hands on it. So I'm stoked with how it looks.
Yeah, it's really nice. And then Dirk, you actually are the one who picked out all the music.
Yeah,
good on you.
Thank you.
It sounds like some late nights making that happen.
Starting late.
Yeah.
That was about it.
Get home from work, fall asleep. Oh, crap, I still got to do this.
5 hours later,
Exactly.
Here's it.
And then another shout out to the wife for my small keg I have here, basically is what this thing is.
I'm sure there's water in
and
it.
And it's definitely barley water, named the Damn It. It's something I say all the time around here. And this is the Damn It right here.
Mikeism.
Pretty freaking sweet. It holds a beer or two in there, or any other kind of liquid that you may want to drink, like water.
Yeah. Coffee, actually.
Yeah, or coffee. Got the thermos for that. What we're going to do here now is just kind of talk about who we are, what we do, and kind of how we got into this thing. Kind of like what we do with all the podcasts moving forward here, talking about if you're not in karting or as you're working, what do you do and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, Dirk, you do make your living in karting, but what do you do here at CalSpeed?
So yeah, I get to worked here at CalSpeed for about 5 years now. I'm the track manager, so I'm sure most of you know me by telling you to get signed in, yelling at you about all that stuff and whatnot. But yeah, I run open practice, get to do that all the days we're open. And then I get to do some coaching as well on the sport karts that we have, our fleet of SOTI karts that we do arrive and drive racing in, as well as some kart testing and just some other facility stuff. But for sure, it's managing the track and then coaching / testing is what my main goal or job is here at CalSpeed.
What's your favorite part?
Probably the testing.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, you know me, I complain about it sometimes. It's a long day, but it's definitely ended up with some of the better memories that we've had here.
Yeah. Testing is a good time.
Yeah.
And actually, Darren does testing with us, too, so I'm sure we're going to end up diving into the testing thing quite a bit.
Don't recognize him.
How did you get started into just not necessarily karting, but racing? You got started karting down the road a little bit, but what about racing itself? How did you actually had that seed or had that fire start with you for racing?
Definitely came from my dad. He always watched racing growing up as a kid, mostly IndyCar and F1. Just the open wheel stuff he grew up watching as a fan. And, once he started dating my mom, a date for them became going to the Long Beach Grand Prix every year because they're a local SoCal. They actually both started dating and then moved into San Pedro where I live now. But naturally, he's a race fan. She became a race fan. Pop out a few kids. They become race fans as well. So definitely got it from my parents.
Speaking of kids, you actually have some brothers and sisters too. Are they also into racing like you are and your parents are?
They are. They're fans of it, but just mostly on the spectator side. I was the only one dumb enough to try to go and become a driver, I guess you could say. Worked out for a little bit, but yeah, they're all into it and whatnot. I just went to the next level.
So you basically kind of are born into being a race fan out of the gate.
Yeah.
How did you go from being a fan to actually getting behind the wheel?
First time I got in a go-kart, I should say a racing kart, was which people probably wouldn't agree it's a racing kart, but I went to K1 Speed out in Anaheim. I think I was about 12 or 11 or so, somewhere around that age, and did the arrive and drive racing at K1 for a bit. And then they changed the rules. I was able to do the GPs. And by the time that happened, I actually was able to go to the Torrance location because they opened up that one. Did the GPs at K1 for about 2 years or so. And I met a bunch of drivers out there that are currently racing out here at CalSpeed still today. And then K1 up to arrive and drive out here at CalSpeed.
And in that K1 deal, when you first started doing it, is it just you just jumping into it? Or did you go there with any friends, your parents? Or
went there with my parents at first, and then it quickly became my mom just taking me as much as I complained to her that she would, because I wasn't old enough to drive myself or anything. And I had a lot of friends at that Torrance location. Casey, I met him early on, him and Matt Widner, Casey Cook, Matt Widner. Another one would be Robbie Stanovich, another competition karter and arrive and drive guy. And then also one of the employees that came out and raced with us quite a bit was Brandon Strickland, but those were probably the core group of guys I raced with at that location.
So you get started at K1, you end up coming out here and you start doing sport karting for a bit. kind of just briefly, we'll skip on through quite a bit of the stuff so we can roll right through it. But you do the sport karting stuff. You actually found success pretty early with one of your biggest wins, if you don't mind me saying, with the Machismo. How did it go from you just started, you just come out here and roll to Machismo win?
Hanging around the right people.
It's who you know, right?
Yeah. No, I definitely didn't come out of the gate hot. I mean, and like you and I, like, I still think you coach me to this day, and we're, we've had some good races together, but it was just, I didn't come out of the gate hot. It just took a lot of video review, self-coaching, talking to other drivers and whatnot. But yeah, it was definitely came fruition when we did the 2013 Machismo. It was myself, Casey Cook, Andrew Lemons, and Tony Severson. And we were able to get it was the last year of the overall sport class, just having one sport class. So we were able to get that win here at Cal Speed, and that was really cool. But just self-motivation and putting in the work.
So you go and you do that thing, and then you've also done competition karting, which you are doing now. But real quick, getting kind of fast-forwarding through that, you do the sport karting stuff, the Super Series, etc.
Yeah.
How do you get from sport karting to what ended up becoming competition karting with the PRD deal?
Man, it was definitely being pointed in the right direction. Like, fortunately, the guy I ended up being on under the tent was Steve Jasinski, another sport karter. So I already knew him from K1 and sport karting, but Casey had just drove from the year before. Reintroduced me to Steve, if you will. Got talking, went out, found some sponsorship and whatnot, and was able to put together a PRD season with Steve back in under S Squared Karting back in 2015 at LAKC.
And that's where you ended up getting the nickname.
Yeah, so I had the San Pedro Fish Market that actually helped me out the previous year and a half with sport karting. I explained to them what I was trying to do with moving up the ladder and whatnot. They were in, so they ended up funding me for the next year for PRD. And Tim Chapman came up with the name the Flying Fish. So after the fish market sponsor, so that was kind of cool.
Flying Fish.
Yeah. And that's stuck with me ever since, it seems like. I mean, at least from what people tell me when he's announcing, he's still.
Well, you wore the suit for a long time.
Yeah, even when it didn't fit.
Nice. So you do the PRD thing, and since then you actually did 206 racing, had some success in there, and doing both for CSK Racing with us, and then also you ended up kind of being a factory driver for VLR with myself as well, and that was when you were able to pick off the senior championship at Tracy.
Yeah.
So you've done sport karts, you did 2-stroke with PRD, back to 4-stroke with strokes. 206s, find some success. You were third the year before.
Right.
Win the championship. Now you're doing KA stuff.
Yeah.
The last time you were in the seat was the challenge.
Challenge, yeah,
and,
round 3 and 4.
You made some noise, my friend.
For a day.
Yeah, or for at least that race.
Yeah. No, definitely. It's been an awesome start to the year so far. I mean, we've had some tough luck with a mechanical issue at LAKC. But then I kind of just decided to jump in the deep end and home track advantage, if you will, for here at Challenge. But, I had a good heat race on Saturday. It was damp conditions, and was able to – I started 10th, and before I know it, I'm up to 4th and then fighting for a top 3 and then contending for a win. And then I kind of just put my head where it didn't belong the last lap and ended up looping it with my teammate Alex Saragusa. We had a great battle, but
it's put on a show. That's for damn sure.
It was definitely one of those races you wish you could be spectating at the end of it, to go back and watch. But wasn't a good finish, but it was a lot of fun, and it was definitely the highlight of that weekend because it was a tough weekend all. It
was changing conditions that whole time. You guys were on slicks, but it was like kind of wet, kind of drying line. It was crazy to watch.
Like we talked about the like half of my sessions were in the wet. Yours were all dry for that weekend, so it was crazy. But that whole heat race, the rain was coming and going, or sprinkles were, if you will. But yeah, it was every corner was different every time. So
aside from the KA stuff, what other kind of racing have you gotten a chance to do and or would like to do?
Man, I had a cool moment back in actually 15 when I was doing the PRD stuff. Actually with James and Jet Lizer, the father-son duo who get to race out here at Cal Speed and whatnot. They were doing a legend car team at the time out at Irwindale. I helped them out a few days when I could, and I actually got to drive the car for a session. And it didn't do too bad. and I kind of talked to the team owner about pricing and whatnot, and pricing was there. The timing wasn't. Every race weekend was an LAKC weekend.
Right.
So I just had all that funding already put towards that. So I had to pick one or the other. I went the karting route, but that's definitely one thing I'd like to try. But as far as actual racing, it's been all karting. But I think within the karting realm, I'd like to maybe have a shot at shifter sometime in the next few years. So
yeah,
we'll see.
That's you've got a chance to do a couple of shifter practice sessions and whatnot, right?
Yeah. After 5 when the track's cold, MRC's been nice enough to let me borrow a shifter from them.
Track manager was pretty nice.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a cool guy that day. But I got to do, 10 laps or so, and I don't feel like I sucked.
It's all about getting it going, as long as you don't stall it, right?
Which I figured out, yeah.
Nice.
So now I was able to get it going and whatnot, and not put it in the fence, so that's always a good start. But I think it's something that's in my on my radar for the next couple of years. So
all right, outside of racing, outside of karting, what are some of the stuff you like to do?
Nothing.
No. That's it.
No, probably my my biggest interest, is movies and shows. I'm probably lazy because I watch a lot of TV, I guess, with this amount of knowledge. But
your ability to make polls.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere. Like, nobody has ever seen this movie that you're talking about. No, and by nobody, I mean me. I haven't.
All of my vocabulary and being able to talk is just quoting movies. This has all been one giant quote from actually Driven.
Yes. Nice. Yeah. Don't ever watach that movie.
Yeah. I was about to do the vertical test for you. There you go. There's another one. But anyways, definitely be movies. I love watching them and learning about them and whatnot, and special features, all that crap. And then video games, you and I will get together from time to time, be able to play some Gears. That's always a good time.
Or lately, what are you playing? I know the answer. Yeah.
I picked up Red Dead Redemption again, the second one. So that's been about 10 hours of my day each day.
Yeah,
during all its downtime.
Yeah, lately, I've been like, hey, so did you get that music? And you're like, yeah, I went home and I started playing Red Dead.
Yeah.
And then I fell asleep playing Red Dead.
Yeah.
And he woke up, started playing Red Dead.
I did.
Yeah. What's that like? What's that like living inside the world of Red Dead?
Dirty. It's not a cleanly place. And it's not nice either. It's very dangerous in the West.
You got to watch out for those trees.
Jesus Christ, yeah. Put my horse through enough this week, I'll tell you. Poor thing.
Oh, man. Well, Derek, that's a little bit about you.
Yeah.
Real quick, because we're going to burn through, and I really want to get to our guest today.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know who I am Mike Smith, the GM here at CalSpeed. Lots of the back end stuff is what I do. But probably my favorite part is doing. I also enjoy the testing quite a bit, but I love the coaching aspect of things and getting a chance to work with a bunch of different people and seeing them improve and whatnot. We'll go and do the sprint series, and I'll have quite a few students in there. And there was a time, actually, I remember in the super series when it was just the super series, and I would look at a main, I'm like, I might have like at least half of these people is like students, right? Mm-hmm. And then you're doing the clinics and stuff like that, so it just adds to that. But yeah, the coaching and stuff like that's probably the most fun for me on the work side here at CalSpeed. I've probably been doing this since, 2003 is when I've been in karting, doing karting since the indoor days.
When do you think you started transferring to the work side?
Well, when I was a kid, I did Junior 1 4-cycle in '94. And
I was just born, by the way.
That's nice. Yeah, that's real nice. I was 12 at the time.
Geez.
And actually, I was in Junior 1 4-cycle. 12 was the youngest you could run. I'm actually from Oregon, and we ran at Pat's Acres, was our home track. The Portland Karting Association is where we ran. And so I ran Junior 1 4-cycle, and I ran for 1 year before my dad pulled me because my grades weren't very good. So I was a pain in the ass then as much as I am now.
You've been faking your grades ever since.
Yeah,
you still are.
Exactly. Still faking it, right? And then I actually got back on the work side, actually, 2003. My Uncle John told me about an indoor track opening up in Tigard, Oregon, called Kart Indoor Racing Center. Started working there, and really quick, went from there to another couple centers up in Washington, and then came down here in 2011. And in 2011, ever since then, I've been working here, doing this thing, and it wasn't until 2016 that I got a chance to drive again, and that was I did some stuff in the indoor days. There used to be big events. We'll talk about that on a different show, but there used to be big events all over the country, and there was even indoor nationals, and I did win the nationals once. So that was kind of my claim to fame before coming here, was I was a pretty good indoor karter.
Yeah.
And then come out here and done pretty well on the outdoor stuff since getting back into it since 2017.
No, for sure.
4-stroke stuff and whatnot.
I mean, it was neat to see because we both started backup racing again, if you will. I mean,
Right.
I had a longer, or excuse me, you had a longer hiatus than I did. But to get through it really quick, yeah, going from the 206 to KA together and whatnot, that's been pretty neat.
Yeah.
But I think the cool part for both of us was showing that we don't know just how to drive a rental cart,
Right.
you know, and being able to connect with the crowd a little bit more. But for sure, Mike's obviously been in the industry a long time, and he's gotten to work at a number of tracks, indoor or not, and manage a bunch of different stuff. And he's been part of one of the bigger tracks in the U.S. Here at Cal Speed. So he's definitely seen a lot.
Pretty blessed to get a chance to, and I don't even use that word very often, but pretty damn fortunate to get a chance to actually be at a place where we can do both arrive and drive and competition karting at the level that we are. It's like these are the best sport karters or arrive and drivers you're going to find anywhere, and there's a lot of the best karting talent, competition karting talent anywhere as well. So yeah, it's pretty damn awesome being here in SoCal and getting a chance to do all this kind of stuff, and then obviously getting a chance to drive more.
Yeah.
Even though I might have to miss an event every once in a while, but you don't mind at all. So that's nice. No. Gotten a chance to run KA last year at SCUSA at Pro Kart Challenge. And then doing Supernats for the first time was pretty badass too. Learned a bunch there. Again, we'll have episodes and stuff like that for another time. Real quick though, aside from this kind of thing, what I really like to do is video games as well, but I also like to write. And I used to write a lot up north because it rained a bunch. And so when it's raining,
you didn't get outside.
Actually, and I had to walk to work, and during the time where the work wasn't open yet, I had to walk early because
uphill both ways
in the snow. Sometimes the wife would drop me off at Starbucks. I'd hang out there for a little while and then walk over, and I would actually write a novel at that time. So I like to write all kinds of different things that I like to do. Didn't see that coming, did you?
No.
But that's why I do all the writing and stuff like that, the previews and all that other kind of stuff.
I think I just did the highlighting.
Yeah.
Which I even got wrong. Mike's probably shared I don't know how many scripts with me. I'm like, yeah, I'll read it.
Move along.
Yeah.
Move along. Play Red Dead.
Busy with Red Dead, yeah. Trying to avoid these trees.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is we'll post on the internet's basically little short blips about who Derek is and who I am and why we are able to host a show about karting like we know what we're talking about. We don't know what we're talking about most of the time, but like my grades, I like to fake them as much as possible.
There you go.
And besides, talking to us isn't nearly as much fun as it is talking to other people, and I'll tell you what, big fan of being able to bring on our guest today. This guy, absolute one of the best talents I've seen in an arrive and drive car, and has actually made the transition from doing not just the sport karting stuff, and he had found success there, but also now does testing with us, and is even an official. So he's got a chance to kind of do all different kinds of both sides of the fence, if you will.
Yeah.
Pretty stoked to bring him on. Let's go ahead and bring on over the Darren Mercer. All right.
No glamour shots.
Couple little issues there. That's okay though. We'll just edit it out on the podcast like it never even happened. It'll be fine.
Jeez.
It's gonna be
Fortunately,
good.
we're live up there.
Yeah.
Oh.
They don't care. Darren Mercer
What's up, everybody?
here with us. Facebook Live, episode 0.
Thanks for having me on here.
Thanks for coming out.
Like, why'd you guys choose me to be like your
You were
live?
available.
We actually pulled it out of a hat, and it was just you.
It was just me, the one name. No.
There was actually no names at all. I don't know. It was a clairvoyance, but actually, I don't know.
No,
Sarah, if you want to
appreciate
try
it.
to fix this camera, you can do that. You just jump on the camera. Nobody cares. We're going to edit it
Producer
out.
Sarah.
Post-production.
I like producers.
Looks like apple juice.
It's a lot like apple juice.
Oh, nice. Good.
Oh,
Good job.
hold it. Come on.
Darren,
Dude.
you need any more?
I'm good.
Okay.
Thanks.
So, Darren Mercer.
Yeah.
Oh, I got anxiety.
First thing we like to do here on the old podcast is we like to ask people what it is that they do for a living?
I say I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a father. I'm a husband, and I have some outside sales every now and then. No, to make money, I guess, is the main question of like, what do I do to make money? I do promotional products and advertising.
That's these guys right here.
That's right? Cups, T-shirts, hats, mugs.
So tell us a little bit more about that. A new direction, the promotional products and stuff like that. How does that whole? How did that happen? How did you get into that?
Wow. Okay, that's my entrepreneur story right here. Is started out, my mom and dad had a driveline shop. They did drivelines for race cars and trucks and a lot of equipment and stuff back in the day. And to advertise that, my mom had a promotional product company. And at that time it was called Impy, I believe it was called. And with that, she basically sold a few things like pens, T-shirts, coffee mugs, writing utensils, things like that, to other companies. And I was probably, I was really young. I grew up in the shop. I always grew up around the business, things like that. Started did some acting when I was younger, from like 11 to 18, and then came out of
acting. You did acting.
Acting like commercials, Kraft macaroni and cheese, Bounty. I did some John Ritter movies.
Nice.
Yeah.
You didn't say that.
I got shot once.
Everything
Really?
90s right now is what you're telling us.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. I had some fun. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself and how interviews worked, and the fact that people really didn't care really about you at all. They really only are looking for a certain thing. And to take job interviews like completely differently when I went into a job interview was kind of beneficial for me in the future. So coming out of acting, I found I didn't really like it. I didn't like the people. The atmosphere was great, and the money was really good. I actually started homeschooling because of it. Teachers were upset at me. I was in class, things like that.
From what age to what age did you do the acting thing?
11 to 18.
Wow.
11 to 18 is
wow, that's wild.
did acting. And it was fun. Like, my mom got me, it was kind of like, hey, do you want to do this? Our friend is doing it. Would you be interested? And I was like, yeah, I'd love to. And I beat myself up over like auditions, like if I didn't get the job, like I didn't get the job, I'm all upset. And, but it taught me a lot. Like I said, it taught me a lot about interviews. It taught me a lot about people, embarrassing myself outside of, or being embarrassed. Because as an actor, you have to be embarrassed a lot.
God, I would hate that. With my anxiety, my social anxiety, there's no
freaking
way.
Right
no way, man. So you're just rolling up there on an audition. Don't know who they are or whatever. You just got to perform, make it happen.
Yeah, you have your idea of what the script is. And you go up there and you nail it. And you're like, yeah, I nailed it. And they're like, yeah, that's not really what we're looking for. Can you try this? Can you try that? And you're like...
No way.
I have no idea how to do that.
You're like, who are you even to ask that?
And
Let me talk to the director.
Yeah, it took a
Spielberg
little bit to figure those things out. But like I said, acting was a lot of fun. It was a great time. But it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me like full time. Like I actually went back into it. A few buddies were like, "Oh, you got into acting? Like, how do you do it?" And I'm like, "All you got to do is start background, go do some background work, be an extra, which is it's still a lot of fun. You get paid really good money to go hang out on a set with a bunch of famous people, get fed really good food. Some of the best food I've ever had."
You got any cool extra stories?
I got to meet on a movie called Ready to Rumble. I got to meet
Is that Jackie Chan movie? Ready to
no.
Rumble? What am I thinking of?
Rumble in the Bronx, I think is what
that's
you're thinking of.
Yeah.
Good movie though.
See, movie guy here.
Yeah. That's the next podcast.
This one I got to meet Marilyn Manson. His girlfriend was in the movie. And I met Marilyn Manson, and I was like, that's Marilyn Manson. I'm maybe 13, 14 years old. I was like, I'm going to go talk to Marilyn Manson right now. But he had no makeup on. He had nothing. And I was like, what's the deal with the makeup? I think that's like the first thing I said. I was like, what's the deal with the makeup? He's like, and he has this deep like voice, like, yeah, it's really just a show. I was like, what? It's just about show business. And like he had this deep, like calming voice. I was just like, oh, all right. And
he's
like
a tall, scrawny guy too.
He's very tall, very scrawny, but very down to earth, very chill, like extremely like knowledgeable on things.
He was awesome in Sons of Anarchy.
I saw he had a part in that.
Yeah.
And that looked pretty good.
I saw him like, wow.
Really
obviously
cool
looks,
guy.
Yeah.
Really cool
looks
guy.
way
Blew
different.
Way different. Him and Jerry Springer. I did a photo shoot with Jerry Springer. That was fun. Jerry Springer's a like down to earth, awesome guy. Like really nice.
And would you rack those two up as your favorite, or
the most memorable, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I guess they're the favorite as far as people that I know and like can mention. And people go, oh yeah, I know who that is.
I asked you what you do for a living. We started talking about acting. What
yeah.
you did when you was a kid. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. That's the life story of, you know, as soon as you get mentioned acting, people are like, what? Brothers Garcia was like the one show that like all my friends recognized me on.
What's a Brothers Garcia?
It was a Nickelodeon show. It was just like a sitcom for Nickelodeon. A lot of fun. People like today they were like, I remember seeing you on Brothers Garcia, and I was a guest show. Like I did like 2 episodes and that was it. But
made your impression.
Yeah. Well, it's something that my friends watched. Everything else was like, you know, a little appearance here, a little appearance there. It wasn't like anything big.
So just because we're talking about it really quick, you'd mentioned that you're in semi-pro.
Semi-pro was fun with Will
Ferrell.
I have a fun story about Will Ferrell. The scene where he takes the basketball and like kicks it into the field, into the stadium is by. So I'm an extra. There's in the stadium. There's people, like they have dummies in the stadium and stuff like that, and you're just posted up there to hang out with, you know, and sit there.
Yeah.
And cheer when they tell you to cheer and stuff. And he kicks this ball, and I laugh out loud. It's so loud. And you're supposed to be quiet as an extra. You're not supposed to make a peep. You're not, even if they tell you to cheer, you're just supposed to cheer like this in the background. So
that's what actually you said that, and I think we watched Semi-Pro.
We watched it
like
just
a couple
weeks
of
ago.
Yeah, just a couple of days
and
ago.
We were trying to find you.
There's no way you saw me. I was so far.
But it's so quiet.
Yeah,
it is so quiet. Can you imagine just the?
I burst out laughing like instantly as soon as he kicked the ball. I could not hold my. It was just one of those things, and he took like 20, 30 takes that time of like different improvs of different things he said to the referee and
That's
stuff.
got to be hilarious too.
And a lot of them were kind of like, you know, kind of funny, and that just got me. I just could not hold my laughter.
They heard your reaction. They're like, use that one.
That's it. Crazy guy out there.
Crazy
He
guy
likes
out there.
it. So how do you go from so you act through your teens and into being done with high school? It sounds like.
Yeah. Finished high school through homeschooling.
And then you go straight into.
I go straight into. I kind of was like working for my brother at the driveline shop because my brother took the driveline shop over. My mom was doing promotional products full time, and then my dad was doing some car hauling. So everybody was kind of doing their own thing. I was kind of in limbo, helping my dad, helping my mom, helping my brother, just being in limbo, helping everybody out right out of high school. And I was like, you know what, I don't really want to be a part of the family business right now. I'm going to go sell cars at Mark Christopher. And I went and sold cars and learned a lot about selling. And found out right away that wasn't the industry for me. So coming out of car sales, saved up some money. And I was like, Mom, you know, how can I help the business? What can I do to, like, what can I make here that is, like, your number one thing that you're selling? She's like, well, I sell pens right now. That's the number one thing I sell. I was like, all right, what's the number 2 thing? She's like, T-shirts. I'm like, all right, I can make those. And,
how old were you at this time?
I was like 19.
Okay.
So I went and bought a screen printer. Bought the whole press, set it up in the garage, and started screen printing. And I think I screen printed for 7 or 8 years, selling it on the side. Mainly my mom was sold it. I just printed it type of thing. And I want to say at one point I was like, I can't answer a phone, reply to an email, and make T-shirts all at the same time. Can you, like, what can we do about this? And we're like, well, let's sub out the shirts. Let's find a company that makes good screen printing and start sales. And that's where I just started doing more sales at that point. And that's where I'm at.
Doing pretty good in that industry then,
Yeah,
generally speaking?
Well,
aside from what we're going through all this right now?
Yeah, like even like I said, like back in the day, like when my parents had the driveline shop, my grandpa had a die cut vinyl machine. So he did like stickers and stuff. So when I was the age of like 6 or 7, I was sitting there picking vinyl out of on a press and making stickers for my dad's like race car and
that's awesome.
You know, doing random things like that just to help my grandpa. So I've been in the industry forever, I feel like. Got it. So I know the industry. I know the production side. I know the supplier side. I know how things work. And I know how things sell. So from car sales, I know how to interact with people, from acting. So it all just kind of comes together.
Gotcha.
And that's where I'm at now.
Wow. Well, actually, I think that was a perfect segue to how you got into racing. How that seed was planted, or how you you know, initially, like, how do you go from blank to, wow, this racing thing's pretty badass?
Well, I always grew up around racing. Like I said, my parents had Leslie's drive shaft.
So was that like hot rods?
No, it was more like off road.
Okay.
So my dad actually did a lot of drive shafts for Robbie Gordon, and his Baja 1000 team. He actually co-drove for Robbie in 1000 before.
Does your dad?
He used to race a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But your dad was the co-driver?
Yes.
Mr. Okay, cool.
Yep. Co-driver, and then also did a lot of the chase truck for him and stuff back in the day. So he has a lot of good stories about Robbie and, you know, drifting dualies around in Baja and stuff like that, and just wild stories of getting from like Mexico to California and, you know, like 45 minutes because of traffic and he's just trying to make it home and stuff.
So the 1000's not done yet.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, it really never is, right?
Man.
But no, so I grew up around racing. My dad raced at Orange Show Speedway. His good friend Fred Hernandez, Fast Freddy, is a good friend of ours, and he's one of the best mechanics we know of. And they used to go racing all the time. I actually sold programs at the Orange Show Speedway, running up and down the aisles like, program, get your
butt
programs,
scratcher,
you know, running up and
down. You may have seen me on TV.
Yeah.
Business card in every program.
I want to say, yeah, it was like from 8 to like 13. I sold programs at Orange Show Speedway, and that was like I've always kind of worked. I never really bought any, or I've always bought all my stuff. My parents really never bought me, you know, like my bicycle or skateboards and things like that. Like I've had to work for them. So being at the Orange Show, being around racing, I was always around it. But I want to say I remember my first time, my only memory that I really have of like my first thing of like meeting someone was Robbie Gordon. And it was at the LA Coliseum. It was a Mickey Thompson race. I was like maybe 5 or 6 years old. And I got to sit in his truck, hung out with them. Dad was talking. They were like, I got to run up inside the hauler and stuff like that. I remember doing all those like stupid little things as a kid. But of course, you know, money's different when you get a little bit old enough to actually start driving and stuff. I was lucky enough to have like a small go-kart as a kid. So I didn't race this go-kart. This was like a yard cart, I guess you can say.
Yeah. Briggs and Stratton or Harbor Freight stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think they had Harbor Freight back then.
I don't know.
But, really?
Like a little Tecumseh motor or something.
But it was a Briggs and Stratton.
Yeah.
I want to say it was like a 3.5 horsepower.
You could tear up some lawns with those things.
Oh man, we had a blast. And that's basically how I learned to drive. From that, and my dad telling me how to move, telling me to move a tractor or jump in the truck and help him drive it. And so that was kind of my driving thing. And then I want to say he took me to Adam's kart track. My first like actual racing like cool experience was at Adam's kart track.
How old were you then, roughly?
11 or 12, and had a blast. Absolute blast. I might have been maybe a little older, maybe like 12. Had a blast. I beat his friend Fred. I didn't beat my dad, which I was kind of bummed about, but I kept up with him. Like I was pretty excited about that. And
do you remember what you were driving?
They were old Sodies.
Oh, really? Oh,
wow. There were. I remember they were Sodies, but they were beat up. I remember they felt cool to me at the time, and going back to it, they were pretty beat up. But they felt really cool at the time.
Definitely.
I still have not driven there yet.
No, same.
It's a fun track.
Yeah, it looks like it's got some definite with the banking and everything like that. I definitely want to try it out.
I like the whole going into the back section with the banks, coming up and then into the hairpin onto the front stretch. Just a lot of really, really fun turns at it. I really
one right after another too. I mean, they're
pretty quick. It's skinny. It's an old school track.
It's a skinny track, but at the same time, it's got some long straightaways. It had some good opportunities to make passes and stuff. But moving on to that, going into where I actually started racing, how I figured oh, let's actually go racing was, I forget the year. I honestly don't remember exactly when it was, but I found SB Raceway, San Bernardino Raceway.
Oh, the indoor track.
The indoor karting track. And they had gas-powered karts. And I was like, this is perfect. They had just opened. I can get in kind of with the cool guys there, start, getting some free races,
Get some credentials.
Yeah.
That's a good story there. Start getting, some credentials, I guess. And I just started racing there. I just was driving there. I wasn't doing anything. I was just driving there. And someone, they were like, hey, we're having a league. You should come. And I think his name was Brian. Cool guy. Really, really cool guy. Ends up inviting me to the league. We had a great time. I ended up winning the league somehow. I don't know how, but I ended up winning.
The only one that showed up. So I don't know how it happened.
Actually, a bunch of guys from Orange Show. I won't mention some of the names. They got a little upset with me, especially one crew chief. That was a good story.
You guys haven't heard of me yet, but you will.
It's kind of really it really goes straight into the credentials story, which I'll have to say.
Yeah, I think we'll have to bring up the credentials story in a little bit. So race the league, win it, and I think they did a fast lap challenge. They did a fast lap in the SPV boys.
Yeah, I think that was in 2011, either late 10 or 11, because that was starting to go on right before I showed up down here. I remember seeing it on the internets. Going, that looks like a good and I think they're throwing up money or whatever for that too.
Yeah, it was $1,000 for the fast lap, and then it had weighted things, and I remember this team showed up and they had it rigged. They had it figured out. They were like, if we do the math here, we can throw weight on it. And then,
sounds like miles altogether.
I was just about to say.
These guys had it right there, dialed down. So they went out and they ended up winning it. And I was like, man, that's pretty cool. You guys are a team and stuff. That's cool. You guys are a team. And they're like, yeah, you should come race with that Cal Speed. I'm like, what's Cal Speed? And they're like, no, it's an outdoor track. I'm like, what's outdoor?
And soaking it up.
Yeah. So it all became a thing, and they're like, no, you should come racing with us. It's a really competitive series, et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And didn't really take it, serious. Ended up, random, coincidence, my girlfriend at the time, my now wife, her dad was out here doing a Richard Petty experience, and so we just came out and hung out with him for the day. He did the Richard Petty experience. As we're driving by,
is this after the indoor deal?
This is after the indoor deal, right at maybe a month after. We're leaving the Richard Petty experience here at California Speedway, and we're driving out, and I see the kart track, and I see the sport karters out there. I'm like, oh, there's karters. I didn't know there were sport karters. That's a different terminology at the time. And they're like, oh, there's karters out there. Let's watch the races. And I see this one guy just out there leading the pack. I'm like, that guy needs competition. Just being ignorant at the time and whatnot. So we go up there, watch the stands.
You see it on the sidelines. I could do that.
I could easily do that. That guy needs competition. That's calling my name right now. And my girlfriend at the time, my wife now, she's like, well, talk to someone, see how you get signed up. I was like, I think this is what they were talking about, that I needed to come out and race with them. I was starting to put two and two together. I'm like, this looks really cool. And so I go up and talk to one person. This one person happened to be Dennis Kimbrough.
Nice.
The very first person I talked to at Cal Speed was Dennis Cambrell, and I walk up to him. I'm like, so, how do I sign up for this? He was like, oh, he got all excited, and he starts telling me about how to sign up, and he's like, it doesn't matter if you're a beginner or a national championship. And I was like, what do you, and he like perks up his chest real high. I'm like, oh, he's getting ready to tell me something. He's like my son. I was like, oh, all right. So, and come to find out that's his son, John Cambrell, and end up being on the same team as them because I show up I guess the next month. I signed up for a race.
These are the Super Series at the time.
Super Series. Signed up for a Super Series race. That was the only thing that you could sign up for at the time, I think.
Yeah. They had just started, actually, the year prior.
Right.
Super Series started.
So this is
late
2012?
This is 2011.
2011.
Yeah.
How old are you about?
Oh, I don't know. I got to do the math. That's too much math for me.
Long time.
22 years ago? Almost 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
23.
Okay.
There you go. There's the math. 23. Show up. SPV instantly was like, "Yep, we want to like have you race with us." I was like, "This is a team. This is cool." Like I thought it was the coolest thing in the world because these guys have like random teams. I'm all about small worlds. I'm all about video games and clans and paintball teams. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Like I'm getting picked up on a team right now. Like, and these guys are good. They're winning races, et cetera, et cetera. And I got picked up on SPV spoofed.
SPV development. Yeah.
Development.
Their logo is the SPV''D.
Yeah.
Arguably one of the worst logos in the history of logos.
I can agree. I debated really hard. I had a patch that I really wanted. I was like, no, let's just do a patch. Keep the logo because your guys' logo cool. I don't want the D.
Yeah.
Spoofed.
Do you remember if anyone had the idea specifically for the D, or was it just
I
a
don't want to
group
like.
thing?
I don't. It was a.
They're
group
gonna
thing.
go on. They're gonna go on blast big time. If I find out who did that, I'm just gonna blast out. It is the worst thing. I think I might have been the one who called, or maybe you. I'll take credit if you want. Spoofed.
So I believe it was. So now, I think it's USIKC. USIKC. It was the first year I went to the indoor.
The aforementioned national championship I was talking about. United States Indoor Karting Championship, USIKC.
It was my first year I went with the team. I was development driver. I think I went with Tyler Bryant.
Oh, wow.
And we show up with our spoofed hats and shirts, and they were like, just instantly like, oh, loser.
Yeah.
Like,
It was SPV making fun of you. Like, they actually wore it.
It's an inside joke.
You just heard it like
These idiots.
Yeah. You just hear it like a loser. Like,
Oh, man.
Look right, can't see anything.
What?
Oh man,
So that was the beginning of the spoof.
that was the last USIKC too. That was the last indoor national championship
And
because the Grands took over. After
this
that.
is all at Octane?
Octane Raceway.
Yeah.
That was
In,
a
Phoenix.
lot of fun. I had a blast doing that. I really wish we could do more of those races.
Now I'll tell you what, that's crazy. So you kind of have a fire lit underneath you with the Robbie Gordon thing as a munchkin. You don't really get back in the seat. I said munchkin. You said about 5-ish or so. You don't really get back in the seat until
An adult.
Yeah,
As an adult, basically,
12-ish as the Adams thing or whatever for a second as a one-off deal. And then once the indoor center opens, like, oh, that's accessible. I can do that. And you happen to meet these other guys that happen to be out here, and it all kinds of comes together, and you go sport karting out here, and that's how you get into karting.
Yep.
And you end up being one of the most the badasses in sport karting.
I appreciate
And
that.
it's-
I never saw myself as that. I always saw myself as like the Mark Martin of like sport karting.
But you did get some seconds.
Yeah,
And you were
lots.
really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple times.
Nice. Just as we're talking, I started thinking about little side conversations. So Darren was always very nice. Like, like he would always talk to you or whatever. Like after, we'd have the races and we'd all be kind of hanging out,
Bench
drinking a
racing.
beer or whatever, and drinking a beer, bench racing, walking the track, kind of just having a good time. And I'm an official for the event, and he's a driver, and he's one of the better drivers. And I remember on one particular occasion, I actually penalized I'm pretty sure I made
last
the call.
Lap, pass.
Yeah, and I made a call on Darren, and it was essentially, in today's terms, crowding.
Yep.
Basically.
My favorite
what
call.
were the terms back then?
It was turning in too soon, or turning. I think I said turning in too early for the situation, or turning in. He's like, he kind of took it, but he has this condescending like, okay, buddy, yeah, all right. Which is I do the exact same crap. So
I believe the actual quote was Mike Smith rules.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was.
That was the thing back then. It was in the rule book.
Nice.
Actually,
it's in
how
every
many people
rule
were
book.
challenging
Said Mike Smith's rules.
It's in the bottom. It says race director can do whatever the f he wants.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
is what it says. Anyways,
And I quote.
there was actually it was the first time where he stopped being just I'm going to be nice like all the time. And
Yeah.
we literally kind of got at each other a little bit, not like bad, like yelling at each other like that.
We had
but
it
was,
back and forth though.
It was definitely he opened up and was like, I can have an honest conversation with you, even though there was this official driver split thing. And I thought that was actually kind of a big moment for us. But also, I wonder, I'm kind of skipping around here, but because you also officiate here, without getting into some of the other stuff I want to talk about because it segues, but did some of that stuff or whatever, seeing kind of the both sides of it or whatever, did that kind of play into doing the officiating once you stopped racing all the time?
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. I loved.
It's like, no, I just wanted to check.
No. Like that's my favorite call. Like I say, like crowding is my favorite call because that was the problem I had the worst problem with. It was I just turned in early, holding lines. Different racing here at Super Series. You know,
yeah, and that's all because of the wraparound guards on.
Correct.
Yeah,
It was
you
just
do that in a competition car,
right.
You know.
Look like an idiot.
It happens all the time.
Yeah. People are keeping up appearances.
But yeah, growing up with my dad watching races, like my dad watches every NASCAR race, every Infinity race, every truck race that there is. So I always sat there and watched, and we always debated rules and stuff like that. So moving into officiating, it was a little different, but I have a much I have a greater appreciation for officials and what they do and how they handle situations and the feedback that we get as officials.
Yes,
Feedback.
You're always doing a great
word.
job. You guys are great.
That's all I hear.
You can do
That's
no
just
wrong.
the text Mike sends us at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, everyone comes up and says,
customer
"Darren, we
saying
like
that.
you." I'm like, "Oh, well."
Appreciate. Not that other guy.
Yeah, 3 people, maybe not, but oh well.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
That's the tough thing as an official, right? Like, you're never gonna hear, man, I really appreciate what you guys do from the person that you had to deliver a penalty to that day.
There's a couple.
No, you hear
There's
that.
I haven't gotten
Not
a couple.
initially. Like, hey, thank you. I really appreciate you giving me that penalty.
Oh no, you hear thank you for giving him that penalty. Oh yeah, that's what you hear. You get thank yous though. Hey, thanks for giving that penalty. Yeah, I was doing my job. I got nothing else going on right now, so I was watching that corner.
Man. All right, so you end up we'll try to bring her back on the rails a smidge, but so you end up going in and doing the sport karting and stuff like that. But that's not the only kind of thing that you actually went from. So I know you did other stuff, but I don't know where it falls in line. So when did you start doing? I think you also had time attack is something that you'd done before as well, right?
Right. So my dad always was trying to get me to do full size cars, and his buddy Fred, I mentioned him before. They're good friends, and they like working on cars. They like tweaking on things, and they are the believers of, you tweak it enough, we'll make it fast. And they wanted to go full-size racing. Well, I didn't really want to do oval racing. I didn't have a huge passion for it. They do, but we went out, and I had an 05 Evo 8 that I've loved. I modded a few things here and there, put some coilovers on.
Just a street car.
Just a street car.
Just driving around, whatever.
Yeah, I was doing promotional products for a shop called Tuning Technologies in Colton, and they do a bunch of tuning and stuff. And they were like, "Hey, let's get your car set up. Like, we've been watching you do sport karting. You're a good driver. Why don't we
This is after sport karting.
This is after
it
sport
was
karting.
in sport karts that you...
Yeah. So from
Really?
sport karting, they were like, hey, you're a pretty good driver. Let's sponsor you and get you into the Evo that you have. We'll help out here and there what we can. We'll tune you. We'll be trackside assistants, et cetera, et cetera. Let's get you out and do some red line time attacks. I've always wanted to do it. I thought it was an awesome idea. I kind of followed the red line time attack, followed the cars. So I was all aboard.
But this is in your own personal Evo.
Correct.
That you had basically it's just a street car that you would drive around, and now these cats are like, hey, dude, we're going to hook you up with some better parts, better tuning.
Initially, yeah, that's the idea. And
you're going to take your car and go get after on the time attack circuit.
Yep.
Wow.
First practice session in the Evo I was a little slower than I pictured and imagined. Instantly, like our team was like, oh, we need to do some more mods. We need to maybe spend some more money. And I was like, no, I can find time. I'm losing it on track. I know my ability. I know where I'm at. I'm not hitting my marks. I'm not hitting where I should be.
So you were the first one to be like, we don't need to throw money at it. We need to get the driver better.
Yeah. I was like, we need to get, a better weight balancing on the car, having a lot of issues with pushing and plowing. I was like, we need to get some better weight distribution on this car. And I need to find some time on the track. We actually added weight, to the rear. It gave it better balancing. So overall power, speed, I was going slower, but overall time, I dropped my time by like 5 or 6 seconds.
What kind of track are we talking about?
It was Chuckawalla. It was
okay.
Chuckawalla. I was out there and I instantly could not like find a lap time. Watched some videos like on Evos, figured out how people were driving these plowy cars and pushy cars. And instantly it was like, that's easy. I can do that, and adapted instantly. And these guys were like, there's no way you didn't do something to this car. Like, what'd you guys do? We're like, we added weight. And I just took, I guess I picked my purse up and got after it.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the
awesome.
It reminds me of something Aaron Nelton told me, a driver coach and tuner from up north. Actually, he still does that, and he's a hell of a driver coach. But he would say it's seconds in a driver, tenths in a chassis, and hundredths in a motor. This is for karting.
Yeah.
But to the same token, if you know that you're leaving something on the table, let's fix this guy, because that's what's making the car do anything at all.
Yeah.
Right? It's just going to sit there all day until you start doing something. That's brilliant. You're like, well, hold on a second. We can actually fix some of the balance issues. It's going to help me, but then I can also go get some more out of it too.
Yeah, we went from a 5th place car to a 3rd place car overnight. And the team was like kind of shocked. They were kind of like, you guys did other things to this car that we don't know about. Why are you guys keeping secrets? We're like, no, we didn't do anything to the car. We told you where we added weight. I just found time. Like, that's what I needed to do. I needed to do research. I needed to get track time, et cetera, et cetera. And
you were the newest driver on the team, if you will?
I was the newest driver on the team. Newest driver in the series, and I go out there and with a basic street car, we finished 3rd in our series, the first race.
Was this your first time doing any car stuff at all?
Yeah,
like at the limit or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So I was stoked about it. I was very happy with 3rd place. The team, they were excited for me, but they wanted to go and get some first places. So I felt like I kind of let the team down a little bit by that. Yes, sir. I'll take another one.
I don't mind if you do. Little brewski refill.
That's water, sir. It's apple juice.
It's barley water.
Oh, okay. I'll take it.
Will help. Appreciate it.
You guys are drinking?
No.
I'm over here with an empty cup. Just for looks.
Next one we ran here at Auto Club. That was a lot of fun.
Did the infield?
Did the infield circuit. We didn't do the Roval.
Careful.
But I really liked this track. It kind of set up better for my style of driving that came from an indoor circuit. It had a lot more square turns. It didn't have those rounded long turns. Had a lot of downshifting, to like hard downshifting, hard braking, tight turns, and then acceleration out. So it kind of fit my driving style a lot here. First time I was instantly a 3rd place car. The 2 guys that were at front just had money. I just couldn't keep up with that power. I was running a 400 horsepower Evo when they're running 600, 700 horsepower Evo and SDIs.
I don't see the problem. I don't understand.
Yeah.
You found 6 seconds before. What's stopping you now?
It's exactly right. That was the difference between fifth and fourth, or
I
fifth
love
and third.
that.
Wow.
You get people who go out and like, D main, C main, or they come out here to practice, right? And they're like, they're shaving seconds, and you're like, oh, to shave seconds again.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be brilliant.
That'd be amazing if you could just go do that.
I tell them it was a kart. I'm like, you gotta get that cart every time.
We enjoyed it though.
Just playing with people's emotions
Ron
around
gotta
here.
be running over in practice. Yeah, it's all the cart, man. Sorry to break it to you.
That's what I keep telling them.
That's rough. That's rough.
Bye, Sarah. Thank you for your help.
Sarah Bantai, appreciate. We'll see you on the other side.
She took the reins off.
Nice. So obviously not a bad start to your car stuff, right? I mean,
yeah, that's what gave my dad, and our sponsor at the time was New Harvest Ventures Realty. They buy and sell houses. They still do. Still good friends of ours. Still, we do promotional product stuff for them. That's what kind of gave them the confidence of like, hey, let's go do some circle track racing. And we actually had a couple chassis because my dad obviously is a pack rack and wanted to keep all of his old race stuff and old race cars and things like that. So we had a couple chassis sitting around the house.
If you don't mind, let's hit pause on that real quick.
Sure.
No, so your dad did some oval racing?
Yeah. He did some mini stock racing back in the day, along with.
What is back in the day?
My back in the day was 93 to like 95, 97, I think.
So he was running these things mid-90s.
I want to say, yeah.
And you started running them when?
2015.
Well, that's a nice thing because what class is it?
Mini stock.
Mini stock.
Or it was called a pony stock at the time.
And pony stocks, everybody knows, they get better with age. So as you leave them in the
same
garage.
Same thing with SRFs, apparently.
Yeah, actually,
that's what we're hearing.
So you were running your dad's old equipment?
No, it was like he had sold it off to like other people and stuff like that. But he had always had the picture of me racing some cars of, and he kept some chassis, kept some motors and blocks and stuff. Nothing that we ended up using. We ended up upgrading everything,
right.
Changing out all the stuff because technology changes. What's crazy is cars did actually go slower.
Oh, they got slower.
Yeah,
okay.
So back in his day, I think they were running like high 13s, and we had a hard time breaking 14s.
Wow.
What was tire compound?
Tire compound that we were running, and then just drivers too. The drivers weren't as good.
So you're doing pony stocks.
It was fun.
At Orange Show.
Had a good time. I got the nickname Crash.
You got the nickname Crash.
Yeah,
I got
the nickname Crash. Who's the one giving
out the nicknames?
I don't know. I got
the people you're crashing into?
The guy that I
allegedly
actually I think is the guy that I beat at the SBR Raceway back in the day, but we won't.
That was a
names.
crew chief, was it?
Maybe the driver.
Gotcha.
We won't name names though.
What was the gap from you doing the time attack to the Orange?
It was right away.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
okay.
it was like almost instant. It was the next year. So we ran a season of Redline Time Attack, and then jumped right into the. We weren't getting any recognition out of the Redline. We were spending a lot of money doing it, and that's where we had an issue. We're like, well, we're spending a lot of money, but we're not going anywhere with it.
Yeah,
we're not doing anything. We're not racing. And at the end of the day, like we're racing time, but we're not racing people. And I think at the end of the day, I wanted to go race people.
Mm-hmm.
So
the wheel to wheel action.
The wheel to wheel. Like I want to go actually physically beat someone across the line. I want to see it. I want to outdrive someone. I want to say I outclassed them or outdrove them, et cetera, et cetera.
And you were doing it in the sport cart stuff already. Right?
I appreciate it.
No, I mean, but you were doing that wheel to wheel, and you were at the sharp end going for W's. So this, I got kind of hanging out by yourself, cutting the laps. Is it only going to go so far?
That was the drive, I guess. Right? That was the drive of challenging yourself against other drivers.
And
at Super Series, you had 100 other drivers that you're racing against. And that. And it was a lot about luck, but mostly about skill. I felt the luck was, hey, I might catch a good kart here or there, but at the end of the day, it really came down to me and how I adapted to that kart. And in the race car, it was really just money. And
were you doing any karting at the time?
Yeah, I think I was still running most of the series.
Mm-hmm.
I started backing off, I think, once my wife got pregnant. And we had Riley, little RPM.
Yeah.
Little Riley Patrick Mercer. that's when we kind of I took a backseat on racing and started focusing more on family and making sure I was there for the family, not just myself. That's why I say I'm a father, husband.
Part of the job.
Sales.
Sometimes sales.
Well, and actually, I've seen you post some videos of whatnot of some of the early training.
Yeah.
RPM has gone through.
Nice.
I love that, by the way, RPM. I love that's fantastic for the kid's name. And I think I saw him behind the wheel of like those little play things where they sit in them, and a steering wheel or whatever. And there was like an F1 race.
Mike doesn't know much about kids.
I don't.
So
what are they?
It was a walker.
It was a walker.
Yeah, it was a walker.
That's the word.
Yeah.
I know you're talking.
Had a little Ferrari number 5 walker set up.
Right.
And then I would play. I did a lot of different ones, but the Mercer Racing Academy video came out.
That's awesome.
Day number 30 or whatever it was.
Call the schedule.
Well, you're branching out now. He's like golfing and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's an athlete. He's playing soccer. He's golfing. He's still racing. We watch a bunch of race videos. But yeah, we always had in-car cameras of F1, and that's kind of was the Mercer Racing Academy, and he sat there and
He's shaking the car.
Yeah.
The next class is sales.
Yeah.
He's got the driving down.
yeah, that's the personality sales. That's where acting comes in. I think I might throw a little bit of acting at him, and that way he can always impress the sponsors.
That's smart.
You're a sad kid in the street. Go. Give me.
And he gives it his all, and then
Brilliant.
no, Dad is over here going, "That's really not what we were looking for."
Yeah, that's not what
It's full
awesome.
circle.
That's exactly that's how full circles work.
Of all the racing you've gotten a chance to do, whether it be sport karts here, whether it be indoor stuff or anything like that, is there any one particular, whether it be cars or karts or anything like that, but is there any one like opportunity or thing that you've gotten a chance to do that really sticks out? I was like, that's kind of the coolest thing I've gotten a chance to do as a driver.
I guess the highlight is being able to race in the SWS World Finals in France.
Saudi World Series.
The Saudi World Series. Having the opportunity to go back-to-back years was a pretty big honor. How the points worked in SWS, I was able to go second both years, runner-up to Logan Calvin, and then runner-up to Casey Cook. Overall Super Series, I think it played out a little different. I think I was still runner-up to Logan Calvin the year that him and I went, but the second year I was runner-up to I forget who it was. I think Sergio Bravo was second overall in standings. He should have took it, but with SWS point standings allowed me to go in. So I had the opportunity. I was willing and able to go, and I loved it. I loved being able to represent America, going over there, and the racing is different.
And where was the racing?
The first race was at RKC, which is just outside. I want to say it's like an hour or two outside of Paris. And then Le Mans, which is maybe 30 or 40 minutes outside of Paris, was the second year that I went with Casey Cook. And I got to admit, Casey Cook and I had a blast that year. We just jived as people. Like, we had a good time. We partied. I thought I did really, really well for the circumstances. It rained. Never been able to race in the rain. California boy, obviously. Sounds silly, but yeah.
Cal Speed boy, actually.
Yeah, Cal Speed boy, really, right? We don't get the opportunity to race in the rain too much. To adapt and as fast as Casey and I did there was really fun. Like, I think that was probably the highlight as far as how fast I adapted, how fast he adapted. He went out and won like the next heat that he was in. I went out and I think I moved up to like third or fourth. So it was just one of those things that we went from like, oh, the California boys, they're not going to know how to race to the rain. Americans, the silly Americans, to like, what the hell? Like, what just happened?
Your accent covered all of Europe, by the way. So that's brilliant.
And this is in sport karts again, isn't it?
We were running the junior. What were the karts?
Was it 250 motors on there? Was it like we used to have the RX 250s here?
It wasn't the RX 250s.
It's like a junior Rotax
Yeah,
or something
it
like
was
that.
a junior Rotax. I forget the name of it. It was a two-stroke. And it was the first time I got to drive a 2-stroke back in the day, but it wasn't like in a race scenario or at that weight.
Yeah.
And those junior road taxis really struggled at weight, and especially in the rain. And so it became a quick learning ability of learning how to choke the intercooler and being able to keep up on the pipe. And
wow.
It was just a different aspect of controlling a kart.
The second year was the outdoor track at Le Mans.
Yeah.
The first year was it indoor outdoor? I don't know.
It was an outdoor RKC. Beautiful track. I believe it's a famous F1 driver. I can't think of his name. Logan would be laughing at me.
Oh. Jean-Eric Verne?
There you go.
So
nailed it.
Both outdoor tracks, obviously different conditions, but what track did you like more?
Good question. I guess I liked the RKC track better. I think I liked the layout, the feel, the way the grandstands were and everything like that. But I had a better time at Le Mans.
Right.
Le Mans had a very relaxed feel. It had more of a cow speed feel.
Gotcha.
RKC was like pit stalls, and it felt very F1-ish and very proper and stuff. So as far as a track, it's really nice, but I enjoyed myself at Le Mans more.
Okay.
I was also more relaxed. It was my second year.
Yeah, different mindset for you.
Different mindset. And Logan Calvin was good about trying to teach me that mindset the first year. Like, hey, these guys race different, et cetera, et cetera. And he taught me a lot about that. But it took the second year going there and like having the mindset of like kind of blinders, and like prove yourself on track. Don't try to make friends because no one really cares. Like, it's different than cow speed.
Yeah.
Yeah, anytime you go to those bigger events, it definitely has a different feel to it. I mean, not just on the sport karting side, but also the competition karting side for sure. I mean, the excuse me, when I went and have done like the old United States indoor championship, and even when I went over to the World Championship again, Arrive and Drive, the indoor karting World Championship in Belgium, it's kind of the same story. Even though it's Arrive and Drive, the guys are still taking it really, really serious, and you end up having like the teams kind of stick together. Now, there's some of us that had been running with each other for a while, and we knew each other, so that was a little bit different, and you'd be a little bit more laid back with that group. But with the SWS, correct me if I'm wrong, it was even the second year that you went, you're not guaranteed to see the same people every single time.
Yeah, I saw a couple different people. I saw the winner of the one the year that we went.
The previous year with Logan.
Yeah, previous year with Logan. I saw a couple different people. They recognized us, and they came up. The first year, actually, they came up and they're like, "Oh, Logan." They remembered, I guess, Miles, and they're like, "Oh, your little brother." And then like they're like,
God, he's even famous over there.
I know,
Jesus.
it's crazy.
That's annoying.
But then they also were like, "Oh, where's John?" You know, because John was a big thing. And
yeah, we did it for 3 years. And the first year, I want to say, I think it was 3 years, and I think we did John, Miles, and Isabella Busalaki.
Yeah,
the first
that's right.
time.
Isabel went all 3 years, I believe.
I don't.
Not with.
No, she didn't go with us.
Yeah,
I was about to say,
She just went the first year with me and Logan.
it's because she didn't really do much of the sport kart stuff. She moved on to doing like Porsche, like NASA.
She wants to do the car stuff. Yeah.
She's still doing that stuff.
I
Really
think
good.
so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Still pretty much
I like that.
getting it done over there.
But it was different racing. It was different racing. It was fun.
What do you think was different about it, though?
It was, well, I guess you can look at it as kind of like if you're like the newcomer here at Cal Speed. So if you're like the
Not going to get any love.
you're not going to get any love,
Yeah.
right? You can. I love saying our old time when we did the rental car suit at Sport Kart Grands.
Oh, right.
And I was in a rental car suit and no one was trying to give me love, and everyone was getting mad at me because I was out there racing them normally how I would
And
with my
doing
suit.
good at it.
and out there, knocking on their door, and they're like getting mad at me, throwing their hand up. I think Weston came up to me. He came up and like, I had my helmet. I flipped it up. I was like, "Hey, what's up, man?" He's like, "Who do you?" Oh man, he got all mad at me.
Realized who it was.
Who
Right away.
it was.
Ironically, he ends up doing it the next year. I think.
Yeah. I told him, I was like, "You need to do it because you have a realization of how much respect you have with the shoes that you wear, the clothes that you wear,
Right.
et cetera, when you're on track. It's completely different." So going to France, it was like you're a nobody, and especially if you're an American, you're definitely a nobody, and they don't want to see you succeed at all. So it was definitely a different racing. They hold you out harder. They'll push you. They'll make it hard.
It's definitely a hell of a lot more aggressive.
Yeah, that's what you've always shared with me.
But the other thing too, like what's interesting is like so that type of racing. I think there's two different reasons for it. Like at Cal Speed here, like the rule set and the way
the officials.
It's called. I mean, and actually that kind of trickles down from the top. My way of doing things on the arrive and drive side is race how you want to be raced.
Yeah.
Give each other some room, and everybody wants to again kind of going back to the way I was taught by my dad. Like when you're racing other people is sportsmanship first, right? That's kind of a big thing. Mm-hmm. While I'm not going to say the sportsmanship, it doesn't exist like at the competition karting level, the type of racing that you're talking about is just prevalent. At the end of the day, it's your job to lift in a competition kart, not give the room. Right? If you're going to leave your nose on the outside, you're going to get put in the fence or you're going to get put off course. You know this already, though, and you drive accordingly. Conversely, you come out here, and that's where some of the competition karting guys have had a hard time.
Side, yeah.
Is they go out here in the arrive and drive carts and get put in the fence and or put people in the fence, I should say, and they're like, "Why am I getting a penalty? He should have lifted." It's just a different set of rules. But again, here this is an awfully friendly place in the arrive and drive stuff to get started in karting, to like go and play and learn your craft and whatnot.
And we've actually all talked about it. It almost can hurt you.
When you move up to the other
stuff. When you move up to the other stuff, and I know I mean, I had that moment at times, but when I moved up, and it happened to be with all arrive and drive people.
Right.
And we all were leaving each other room on the outside, and it was kind of tough. I mean, trying to venture outside of that realm. But if you don't start to talk to someone on the other side,
right?
That next level up, and at least get some tips or what to expect, it's going to be a tough learning experience for you.
Yeah, I think absolutely. That's the situation we see from the arrive and driver guys that move to the 206 stuff, like with CSK Racing or any of the other 206 teams and whatnot.
Yeah.
When you move on over to that from arrive and drive, first thing you got, and the nice thing is you don't have to learn the tracks.
Right.
The tracks are the same, but you do have to, if you end up running with someone who hasn't maybe come from that same area of racing, it's your job to lift. Like, don't put yourself in a bad spot. And actually, Derek, I remember when you were doing the PRD stuff, and we would have that conversation a couple of times with certain situations where you ended up, or even when Miles and Logan were jumping in the 206. I remember them getting kind of burned by a couple things. I'm like, welcome to competition karting, man. I mean, it's not. Don't expect that room to be given. Like, you go to Lancaster, Streets of Lancaster, and go run there. Ooh, boy. Do not leave that nose on the outside, mate, because you're going to be in the fence every time. Going to happen.
Yeah, the racing that we do here at Cal Speed is fun.
Yeah.
It's hands down the funnest, fairest racing. And like when I say funnest, it's fun outside of racing. It's fun bench racing. It's fun just hanging out in the paddock. Start to finish. When you show up at the end of the day and leave, I think you have the most fun here than anywhere else racing. And I think I just love it. It's so much fun.
There's definitely bang for the buck on that side of things.
For sure.
It'd be Sprint Series or Super Series or whatever you want to call it. But I'm with you 100%. As being on the other side of the fence, I have a really good time putting him on. I know Derek, you feel the same way. Where the Sprint now, Darren, as an official, getting a chance to come on over and talk with some of the guys. And again, some of the education and the conversations that you have with people afterwards. I mean, literally, what we're doing right now happens after the events.
Yeah.
Just BSing with people and talking shop.
That's the funnest part about racing at the end of the day, is if you can't do like these things at the end of the day, I don't find it fun. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's why, I stopped racing at Orange Show. I was spending too much money doing red line time attack. I was like, at the end of the day, I want to do this because it's fun. And if I can have fun with you guys or people on track, then that's where I want to be at. That's what I want to do.
So you're not doing the sport karting thing right now. You're not doing the Orange Show thing right now. You're not doing the lap attack thing right now.
No.
How are you scratching the itch on the racing side?
I've actually wanted to pick up some of the iRacing, but until some funds come together for that, I'm actually just a fun tester with you guys.
A fun tester.
Yeah.
And we do have some fun.
It's honestly...
Capital F.
Capital F. I think it's great.
Maybe F-U. Lowercase n.
As far as a skill, like, I feel like I could go out there and race with the A main crowd right now and be pretty competitive with it. I know it's different racing, and I would have to earn some respect out there right now. But
everyone's like, "Who's Darren?"
Yeah,
honestly, that
Isn't
whole
that
crowd,
crazy? Yeah.
a lot of the crowd, except for maybe a handful, has no idea you used to race.
Yeah, I know it's
And
crazy.
Or test, honestly.
And win.
Yeah.
No, I agree. That's the thing about the testing. Like, it'll give me that false sense of hope.
Right.
Jeez, this guy's saying that now. You've got fifth in the All-Star. Jerk.
Nice. Some might say it's rigged.
Goes to Super S. Yeah. Oh, jeez.
The entry list is rigged. By me, I make the entry list. Current events. So on the testing side of
That's
things,
the laugh that he had during the film in a semi-pro.
That was it. That was
toned it
the
down for us right now.
that was me kicking the ball out of the
Yeah, that's awesome.
So the thing about the testing is so much damn fun is the fact that you can, I mean, we know each other pretty well. We've raced or driven around each other so damn much that we kind of know each other's tricks and whatnot, but still we'll
it's
try
a chess
to
match.
we'll try it's a ton of chess, right?
Right.
And again, the slower you go, the more chess. But yeah, and you can try stuff that maybe you wouldn't try normally. And Derek's signature.
Mike's the punching bag around here.
Yeah, well, shocker.
With testing, at least.
Yeah. In everything.
I'm the punching bag in the office.
Okay,
and every other day.
That's fair. I got to take out my aggressions. So, yeah, on the testing side of things, I agree with you. It's an absolute blast. I mean, and for you, not getting a chance to, I shouldn't say even chance, the fact that you've got other priorities and you're doing different things. And we've seen that actually, that's what happens, isn't it? Is that if you're racing early or whatnot and you get to a certain time in life where you're going to either, I got to find a way to make more money, or I don't have the money, I don't have the time, whatever it may be, or family or whatever it is, right? There's a lot of people that you raced with, the Calvins and whatnot, Kimbrell, you race with some of the best in the business, are one of the best in the business in that whole genre, and you're all right about the same as far as your area in life. So all of those guys stopped racing because it's like, oh, well, it's married time and it's kids time or it's career time. Get done with the school thing or whatever it is, and we see these kind of cycles. And it's kind of like with the competition karting stuff, and you see the kid karts to cadets to juniors, and so on and so forth. Move on up. It's interesting to see all that go. But on the testing, going back to that and driving, aside from actually doing the job of testing, and it is a job trying to get the sport karts close.
It's a job.
What's the like when you put the shield down? What do you? We joke about who's going to win, right? And who's going to win, cross the line, stuff like that. But what is the most fun aspect of doing that?
Testing with you that's the
just me though, not so much Derek.
Just with Mike. I'm third.
No, I've enjoyed all aspects of it. One, I learned a lot about the karts. So learning a lot about the karts is great, and comprehending it and sharing it to the mechanic to be able to have him comprehend it or have them do it is another thing. So that's a good feedback. That for me is huge because I always was taught that's the number one thing with you and a crew chief, right? So I really enjoy trying to make sure the mechanic and me have a good relationship because at that point we can really make karts better. Second is anytime Mike goes backwards on the track.
How does he end up backwards?
Usually Derek.
Yeah. That's right. We all know it now.
We'll talk about that punching bag.
That was a
yeah.
That was a little low ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True story.
No, when we out there test though, Mike is hands down probably one of the best drivers I've ever raced against and driven. Like he is insanely aware of all four corners. And my dad always taught me if you can figure out all four corners, if you know where all four corners are at on your race car, you'll be the fastest driver there is. Because at that point, you know how far you can take things. You know how far you can get the car out. You can fit it into tighter spots. You're not afraid of things. Mike is super aware of those things, and it's scary. It's really scary how good he is of knowing the full, like the back of the cart, the front. He has 8 corners on that cart, and he knows where all of them are at. I have 4. and I barely know where 3 are at.
Yeah, I can't count that high. So I'm like, there's a steering wheel.
So racing against Mike is really hard. It's a chess match to the fullest. To come across, like, we always do a little, 2 hands up, like, or 2 fingers, like saying it's 2 laps to go, and we come across the line, and it's at that point I'm racing. No offense, Derek. I'm racing Mike.
Oh, so am I. I don't care if I am leading.
So
and I'm third.
Yes. Yeah. Most of the time, Mike is at third at this point, and it is to control Mike in the back of the pack or control him, and it is hard. That's why I say I feel like I could go out and race against any of these A main guys right now and be extremely competitive with them.
Dude, I feel the same way. Like I didn't know Mike could drive until. Honestly, I started working here. I mean, because I didn't see, when I started racing, I'm sure it was the same for you, or you started a little bit before me. But Cameron was testing, TA was testing. So I didn't see
one of the best wheels. Too.
I didn't see I didn't see Mike on track at all.
Not TA, sorry.
No,
mechanic.
TA is a great mechanic. He's not a wheel man.
Awesome personality.
Love you, TA.
Yeah, but no, I progress, and luckily now I can roll with you guys. But
you can't even you roll with us and you beat us now. Like you have improved so much.
It's taken a lot,
especially when we got him in the base kart.
Man,
turned a corner
in the base.
and then I'm not even gonna go there anyways. But no, I mean, Darren, you were always like the hot shit when I was in a Super Series with you, and I look at it now, I'm like, I can roll with Darren and beat him from time to time. I can roll with Mike and beat him from time to time. Like, I'd feel pretty good if I were to quit today and go race Super Series. I'd be top 10.
You wouldn't be able to pay for it. But
no. Yeah, maybe the first round.
Well, I keep joking that
as soon as
sprint. Nice. As soon as I turn 40, I'm going to quit so I can go racing. I got to go get me some Super Series Masters Championships.
Smart.
Yeah. No, I
Diego will still be here, so that'll be a good race.
No, and actually,
I could race Diego.
I've raced with Diego indoor.
That's right.
I'm looking forward to having him on the show at some point, and we can talk about how he'd like to put me in the wall.
I think Diego's probably one of the funner people to race against. His ability to.
I don't know that you like fun means what you think it means.
Yeah, it's different. It's different.
He had the uppercase and in lowercase.
There it is. Yeah,
it's all backwards and shit.
He is a challenge. Diego Morales is a challenge to race.
He'll race you clean, but he will race you to the limit of rules. And he knows the rules, and he knows how to control the kart very well to abide by those rules.
Absolutely, that is true. And actually, so yeah, the whole testing thing. Not only is it a hell of a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
But you'd arguably say that it's made you a better driver.
I feel like I am. I would like actually. I've seen some conversations lately on the Facebook about these all-star drivers, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, should I race against my all-star status right now? Like, should I just go out and like prove that I am an all-star and like beat these guys in the A main? Should I do that? Like, is that a thing?
The answer is no.
Oh,
because I need you to test and I need you to officiate.
So if you get a Casey to fill in for 2 days,
that's really what it comes down to. Yeah.
What track would you come back to race?
One of the tracks I haven't won at.
Ooh. You've got a few.
I think two tracks I haven't won at.
Classico, right?
Yeah, hasn't won a Classico GP.
Haven't won a Classico GP. And Technico.
That's right. That was one you were planning on doing last year.
Technico and Classico.
That's right.
I think are the two given either direction are the two that I haven't won. I would love to be able to win those and be the. I always said it would be cool to win every race available at Cal Speed.
Oh, for sure.
To be able to say, I've won the Machismo. I haven't won the Pro. We're working on that, but I've run it in Sport, Super Sport. I haven't done it in Pro. So
did you win? You were in Sport?
The first year, the very first year. I think it was
these guys won.
Oh, when it was just Sport class, yeah.
It was just a Sport class, right?
Was that the one where you were with Pat and they blew up?
I was with Pat. No, it was the first year I ever ran.
Oh, that might have been
with SPV. First year it was in Vegas. A lot of fun. And I think it was on a technicality that we won. We actually finished second, but They didn't have drive time on a certain driver.
Yeah, it was one of the teams from Phoenix.
But we won't mention that, so it was a good win.
Yeah,
a win's a win.
A win's a win.
For the old spoof team.
No, that was spool.
Spoof. Yeah, it's the lead with the D.
Yeah, there you
go. Really quick, just because you mentioned Pat blowing up. So he blew up here in 2013 with like 2 to go.
That's what I was talking about.
Okay, yeah. So I remember.
I just can't remember what class.
It was in pro.
Was it?
It was back in the Stratus, but I remember hearing Pat saying something like, "I have terrible luck at Machismo." Somewhere around Machismo time, he's saying this.
I think it's just December. He probably doesn't get like the present he wants at Christmas, and he probably doesn't. I mean. His New Year's resolutions never come true or whatever.
But
is that how that works? Is it like a wish?
But he says this, and however long later the race is happening, we got 2 to go or whatever, and I'm going down in the S's and I see it Pat off and carousel or the S's, but standing next to his cart. I'm like, no shit, you don't have good luck at this race, mate. Like you were leading with 2 to go, and now it's not happening.
Yeah, and I think he carried it with him when we went to the 24-hour. When we did the 24-hour race at VOK, I think he carried his bad luck just because.
go. That's a brutal race.
God, that's my unicorn.
I haven't won that race.
I want that one so bad.
I haven't won that.
I want my teammates to make sure they pull their weight all the time. Pat Britton. I'm just kidding.
We won't name names.
Actually, Pat's been there a couple times. He was there with another team early, and I think he got sick, which is doable to get sick. But I think it was like food poisoning or whatever at the time. So he ended up having a short run, and then he had a tough time when we were there. But no, Pat's a brilliant driver, especially out here outdoor at Cal Speed. Brilliant. I mean,
he's
former
good.
Super Series champ,
former teammate of mine, awesome driver. Taught me a lot about the competition and how to handle the competition and different racing lines to control the pack behind you. So he taught me a lot about controlling cars behind you and stuff, and I think that was really important for us.
Especially if you can do it when you don't turn your head. You know, that's one of the things. I've had conversations with like Nick DeGraff, who I've been racing with a lot in KA lately. John Crow, when I was racing with him in KA, as
competition crowd. Talking with.
Obviously we do it all the time in the sport kart stuff. But what I realize is that you play more chess as the leader.
Oh yeah.
Than you do as the chaser. For me, that's in the competition karting. That's what it seems like for me. Like at Button Willow at the opener for Pro Kart, I was Dyson, just getting after it with DeGraff and then eventually with Steve Jasinski, and trying to put your car where they want to be on the exit, on the entry, middle, and exit, and then actually have enough juice to get out of it to the next one.
That's smart.
I play more chess doing that than I do trying to go make a pass is almost like elementary. Like, you go to the inside, you get to the inside, and you get them. Like, that seems like it's a little more straightforward. But playing the chess and try to manipulate what's going on behind you as
you're thinking 2-3 corners ahead.
That's a challenge.
The moment I think I realized this was John Cabral made a move on me. Actually, I was second. He was first. It was for a Super Series A main. I'm pretty sure it was for a Super Series A main. Coming out of Horseshoe, I forget if it was Grande or not, but coming out of Horseshoe, going clockwise. He moves up the track. So he's running middle of track, running a great line. I'm looking to go on his outside setup for Long Beach. He looks like he bobbles the steering wheel, like he does this little bobble of the wheel, right? Moves up track, just a kart length. Allows me to slot in next to him. Now he controls the corner going into Long Beach, where I'm set up on the opposite side of him. I'm like, this guy just set me up for second place all day long right now. And I learned that and I registered it and I was like, oh, I'm going to use that. I am so going to use that. And I think it was a heat race in like a sport kart Grands. And it was, I think, Sean Fight.
Oh, it would have been good if you'd done it back to him.
I tried. I tried so hard. But anytime John Cabral was behind me, he usually passed me. So I couldn't really keep him back there.
He's a wheelman.
He was good. So Sean Fight was behind me in a heat race, and I was like, oh, I remember this move. And I did the wheel bobble, moved up just enough. I think it was Sean Fight, slid up next to me, and I held him on the outside, and he came up. He's like, I learned that move. He's like, I know that move next time. He's like, you're not going to get that one on me next time.
Man, I love that. I love it when
that's chess match.
When you log something away and it comes to fruition,
and it works later on.
Casey Cook told me about that. I think that he said he had used it in Europe. Maybe I was actually racing with him, and we were going counterclockwise, and he went to my outside up top here, turn 5, and I lifted. So like he was coming out here, and I lifted to get next to him,
hold him inside. Yeah,
he was going to try to go for the over under, and I lifted so he would end up next to me.
Stay there.
And he's like, "You just lifted in a full throttle section." I'm like, "Yeah," and this is why. And he's like, "Son of a bitch."
Yeah.
And then he ended up. I'm pretty sure that was the time where he ended up using it at the. And then this is early days. I mean, he ended up. His SWS day was 2013, I think it was. Or no, he went in 14 from the 13 season.
Mm-hmm.
But he hadn't been doing karting very long.
No.
As we actually recorded with him this last weekend and having some of those conversations. But it's not like he karted for very long before going to competition. Yeah. Before going to the competition karting stuff. But the chess match stuff. That is why I have so much fun in the sport karts and testing.
Oh, the test, like
206 is a good time. All the slow stuff, but I think that you guys would kill it. At least in the chess match game. It's not like the Super Series isn't good already, but I think if you guys went to the A-Main, you guys would be in the front
for sure.
I mean,
I feel like it. I guess that's mentality, mindset mentality.
Yeah,
of where you expect to be at.
A little bit. It's confidence, right? But I mean, there's also a bit of reality with it.
Yeah, like just with any of the racing that I felt like I did in the past, like I always felt like I should be there with that group. Even the first time I came out here, and I was, first race I did, I was C-Main, and I'm like, why am I not with the A-Main guys? Like, what are they doing different? And it was, I forget who it was, but someone said it had to do with respect or something, and I was like, what? What's respect? And it took me shaking hands.
It's a song.
It's a respect.
I was just thinking that.
Anytime I can steal a poll from you. That's not even a movie. RSP.
I'm not going to spell it. so that helped.
One of the memories I have with you actually racing against you, I think it was Sportivo, and it was back in, I want to say 2014. But it was, last handful of races of the year, and you're contending for overall stuff, right? You got some hard work coming your way, and
he was actually good right out of the gate.
No, I mean, to be around him, knew that he had a dog of a cart. So
doesn't exist.
So I think we're actually fighting for fifth right now, and you're pretty much making your car a roadblock, and fourth and up is gone. It's just battle for top 5. And nice. I have a few runs at a horseshoe going into Long Beach, and I go for it, and as soon as I get on the brakes, I get a hit from behind. And this happens for maybe 2 or 3 laps. I get a hit from behind going to this corner, and it ends up causing a shit show going up through Old Bus Stop into 4, and you get hosed on the outside of 4, and you lose 3 or 4 spots.
Turn 4?
Yeah.
Forward or backward?
Forward. And I remember feeling like shit because I'm like, God, he thinks this is all my fault. You're not happy. I could tell.
Usually, anytime that I was trying to be a roadblock,
and you lose spots, it's not. Yeah, you're not going to be happy. But I remember coming up to you at the time afterwards, and it was every time I got on the brakes, I'd get love and I'd get sideways, and the pass would go to shit or whatnot, But I remember coming to you afterwards, and you were listening. But man, he did not want to talk to me, and that is the one memory I have.
He's got the nice face on, but you can see it in his eyes.
Exactly, and I saw through his sunglasses. But I was that is the memory I have with you racing back against you in Super, which is funny.
It's not the best memory, but I'll take it.
I mean, I got to beat you, so it was kind of my best memory.
That was all right. I'll give it to you.
Speaking of memories, you got one from here at Cal Speed that's a favorite.
I was saying, I think the best memories usually are the ones that other people remember and like say and like talk about and stuff like that. Mine, it usually is brought up quite a bit here during testing, is around the outside. I think
I love that one. That's one of my favorite stories.
I think the story is so good because at the time I think you guys had Chappie as the announcer. I think he was doing some announcing.
Yeah, we may have.
And I want to, or he had an announcer, and I remember it could have just been me yelling.
13, 14, we did have one, so yeah.
It could have just been me in the helmet. But that day we were running. That
was Grande Counter.
Grande Counter,
say, yeah.
Right.
Because you're coming out of Horseshoe into Cantina.
I always liked Grande, but earlier in the day, I think it was 1B or something like that. I got Logan on the inside coming out of Horseshoe going into Contino, and I got him. It was like halfway over the gray, halfway in the blue. It was like really controversial. Like he was like super mad about it. Like, you went over the line, you shouldn't have done that, et cetera, et cetera. It was like he was kind of like upset about it.
This is for those of you that play in the at-home game. This is now there's a set of tires or cones that kind of get you to
They
bleed
force you
back over, right?
yeah.
So then if you end up across the line after that section, you've now quote cut the track. Right. Well, we didn't have anything yet, so guys are like next to the barrier and running that thing down to.
I'd be pissed too
Cantina.
if I had a development driver taking it to me.
I think this is past the spoof days.
I think I might have moved past the spoof days,
Yeah.
but this was at the time. I don't think Logan quite had like the national title, like championship. Like he is the end all be all of sport karters.
We're good.
Yeah. Done. Sorry. You guys aren't getting filmed.
Good.
Yeah. Waste of space.
Sorry, GoPro just died. So he was the end all. He wasn't the end all and be all of sport karting, and so I really didn't have the mindset that Logan should beat me all the time. I had the mindset I should win all the time, and I made a move on him, beat him through that corner, and this was before we had bypass coming up the hill.
Right.
And so I knew if I could get him there, I could kind of control the corner through hairpin. And if I controlled the corner through hairpin, I could probably get them all the way up the hill.
Yeah, because you can just hold the inside up here in 4, right? And then it's
they're stuck. Yeah.
So it was very much like that was my time to make a pass. I made the pass. He was a little upset about it, but it was heat racing. Like it was whatever. Like I learned from them on how to do that stuff. So going into the main, I'm sitting in the same spot, P2, Logan Calvin's P1, and he runs deep blue line. Like he is halfway in the gray, halfway in the blue. He's like, you are not going to pass me at all in this corner.
And this is going to Contino.
This is going into Contino.
On the last lap.
And I had set him up a little bit before, like kind of like, hey, I can peek here. I can peek here.
Yeah.
I can peek here. I'm going to make the pass here type of thing. And I was setting it up like I'm going to make the pass. I'm going to make the pass. Same as I did heat race. Like I was setting it up and he goes deep. And I'm like, I can't go that deep. I'm going to, like, we already talked about the penalty if I did, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, and I was carrying way too much speed to, like, even try to slow down to, like, stay on the inside of him. So I just moved all the way over on the other side of the track. And he checked up real slow to hold inside, and I just railed outside through Contino.
Like he wasn't even there.
It was.
I remember watching this as an official towards the top of the course. And it was like a jaw drop moment where he went around the outside, a long way around Contino, and is leading, full clear.
Like I look back straight away. I look back and I'm yelling in my helmet, around the outside. Like I'm like shaking.
You know what Logan said in his helmet? You do the pass, he goes, oh, beautiful.
I doubt it.
He
could think back on it.
God.
It was hands down to me the coolest moment. One, for a story because it was Logan Calvin.
Yeah, for sure.
I did it twice on him. I got the inside and then the outside on him. And I still say today, like testing, I feel like that's one of my better corners. But
hell yeah, it is for sure.
That right there, like it's just the confidence of that to come around and do that. So that I still remember like yelling in my helmet, like looking back and seeing the gap. I think I had like 3 or 4 carts, and I was like, I got this locked up.
He parked it on the inside because usually what happens, right, is the guy kicks.
Yeah.
and you go for that over-under, right? You try to get to the inside and beat him for the inside corner.
He controlled it very well.
And
I had no opportunity to slow down. I just railed it. Like, I caught a random cushion that I call.
I love it. Yeah.
I got the cushion, railed outside.
God, that was awesome. I loved seeing that move.
And then we say it today, like when we're testing, we're like,
you'll see the arm come up.
We'll see the arm come
or you'll
up.
see me throw the finger at Mike. That's about the other.
Just because usually I'm the one going like this, around the outside. I look behind me and it's just birds, birds in the air.
All I hear is in my head, like if you do this motion with your hands on track, all I hear in my head is around the outside, around the outside.
That's awesome.
That's all.
It's phenomenal. God, I love that. That is one of my favorite stories for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
That was a good one. I have another one if we have time.
Yeah.
Sport Kart Grand Nationals. I think first year. I was point contending, ready to. I was searching for that first place kind of win. I think it was the grand finals, I believe, and I think it was the second year. Yeah, it was Stephen McAleer won, and
one of my favorite people, Stephen McAleer.
Yeah, if you don't know who he is, you do now. Greatest.
That's a good story too. Don't let me forget to say the credential story.
Okay, we got to get to the credential story. All right. So we get halfway through this Sport Car Grand Finals. It's 50 laps, 60 laps.
Yeah, those early races were long.
It was long.
We were trying to match the USIKC for like drive time,
right?
And it is way too long for out here.
It was fun. Like it was close to an hour-long race. I think it was like 50 minutes. I just didn't quite have the kart to keep into draft even. I think the top 5 like broke off for me. I'm like sitting 6th or 7th. The front pack broke off for me. The back pack is battling, doing 10th place things that they usually do here. Battling each other, driving each other way too hard.
Yeah, because here at Calspeed, the draft is a big deal.
Absolutely. So
3 to 5 tenths depending on the configuration.
Yeah, I fell off the draft. I became Mercer Island. And so I'm just out there driving by myself for an hour, no one around me, no one in front of me, and I'm just driving circles, and I'm just like do, and I see the pack in front of me, and they're slowly getting away from me, and I see the pack behind me catching up, and in front of that pack was Mark Connell, and Mark Connell made the move on me, and I sucked up into his draft. I had some help from behind, I kept that draft, and I pushed him, I was like, hey, we're actually going somewhere. I got a kart that can actually kind of push if I have a draft. So we get up to the lead pack. As soon as we get to the lead pack, this is Mark Connell will always bring this up. As soon as we get to the lead pack, I was planning this out. Right when we get to him, I ditch off of Mark Connell and I catch up onto that lead pack just a hair. And that lead pack is enough to have enough draft where I just left Mark Connell in a Connell Island now. so
you got the ferry ride.
I got the ferry ride.
And then before you got to the end, you jumped off.
Mark's behind you doing
I might have made a dirty move on Mark inside of Long Beach to kind of slow him off, to break the draft off. But it was Sport Kart Grands. It was the season finale. I had to do what I had to do. But I think that was one of those chess match things, and I think those stories of chess match where you come down to it is the best.
Man, I remember those like what you just said about trying to go forward while not letting the guy behind you go with you. Totally reminds me of the chess we played indoors.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. And my original thought process with passing was, and that's why my fast line, like the line I always do, and my pass line I try to have exactly the same or as close to as possible.
Right.
And that's like in the old, like we'd come out of silk. And I'd always be really wide. Because I wanted to be able to go from my normal line to make the pass without the person behind following me through. And that was an indoor thing.
Right.
I want to go forward, but if you've been sticking around with me for a while, I don't want to give you a hole to go through as well.
Yeah.
And then I try to do that with the competition karting stuff as well. But I'm a lot more concerned with just getting the pass done. Never mind if they can make it through, good on them, But it's a lot tougher with those because it's a lot more mono. It's a lot less pack stuff going on with that. But Yeah, for sure. Playing that chess and then trying to
So fun.
not just make the pass, but put yourself in the best position possible to keep that game rolling forward.
I learned that talking a little bit about the circle track stuff. Was I learned that chess match is fun in the circle track. Like if you can find that chess match in there, and like, because it's a cat and mouse. You get the guy that drives off really hard, but you drive in tighter.
Yeah.
And it's this cat and mouse, cat and mouse, cat and mouse, and then you're upside of them, and then alongside, and then you finally get the pass on.
Lap after lap after lap.
We got a bit to do a bit of that back when we had the oval race here.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if the guy effed up the corner, you'd have the pass.
Right.
But it took about 2 or 3 laps sometimes to really have the timing right and whatnot. And that, I'm with you on the oval stuff. That was just fun.
Especially if you get it wrong, right? You get it wrong. Oh, now I gotta. But you're not gonna you're not getting hand over fist. There's two corners. There's 2 ends of the track. You're not gonna be getting hand over fist time back.
No.
So if you don't get it done right now, it may be 5 laps before you have another shot at it. Before you're even close. Yeah, the oval stuff is fun. I'd love to bring the oval back.
I would too.
We get harped on.
That was fun.
I do. I have an oval right here at the top. I'm looking at it right now at the window.
Oh, that'd actually be pretty good.
In testing when we're trying to burn those tires in.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to just turn the Mercer oval.
Yeah. It's fun. Awesome. It's a fun oval. It's hard. It's a.
You got the most seat time on it.
I do. I got some good seat time.
Kind of like Phoenix.
Yeah.
It's like kind of like a Phoenix.
That's a little Phoenix track. Mm-hmm. Telling you, it's good. Ready to bring the oval back.
Man.
Anytime.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Oh, man.
What else are we thinking?
Well, I'm thinking we might have about everything that we can possibly have for our first shot. Yeah, I mean, sign me out. Sign me out.
I did it.
I do want to say just a couple of things. Like with the you brought up earlier the Mickey Thompson deal.
Yeah,
I remember as a wee little lad watching the Mickey Thompson series, and it was at and I'm from Oregon, right? So I'm only seeing this stuff on TV, and the peristyles, right? Where they go up
in the Coliseum.
Yeah, in the Coliseum, they go up that deal into the back, like in that little, what do you call it? I guess the peristyles, but it's like reminds me of like Grease or whatever. Like I had like those pillars or whatever.
Oh yeah,
it looked like, and then they run back down the grandstands or whatever. So you brought that up, and I'm like, man, I just got all kinds of nostalgia. You guys remember Off Road?
Yes.
The video game?
The Ivan Stewart.
Yeah.
Ivan Stewart.
It was an arcade, and then it was on Super Nintendo.
Oh, man.
So
hands down, probably the best arcade game. If I could find one of those and have it in my house, I would love to have someone donate that to me.
And then you... and then you
put
get
the link in.
Yeah, and you put the code in or whatever for unlimited nachos, and he's like, pop, 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 just hauling ass all the way around. Come on,
the NOS. Yep.
You make the upgrades anyway. So I thought about that. I thought it was pretty. I got a little.
No, I actually saw some old videos from Orange Show where they had stadium trucks come through Orange Show.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, and I was like, what? That's insane. Like they did this at Orange Show Speedway back in the day. I wish they would do more of it. Like have the stadium trucks come through.
Is Orange Show still rolling?
Yeah,
is it?
Absolutely. Well, obviously not now with the time.
Right,
but
yeah. That also, I mean, we were talking about doing the what do you call them? The flyers, brochures at Orange Show programs. Thank you. Good
programs. Get your programs. Programs. $2. Programs.
I didn't know that. We might have him do that at Super Series.
That's how you
We got to fork up programs though.
Yeah. Anyways,
we got a guy that can make it.
Sarah Banter.
Yeah. Portland Speedway in Portland, Oregon. It was actually right by Portland Meadows. It was a quarter mile, half mile oval, and that's what I grew up around. My dad actually crewed for a guy, and they built the car out of his garage. It was really just those two guys, and it was a limited sportsman stock car. They had street stocks, limited sportsman. So basically, they took like a Chevelle, like a late '60s Chevelle or like a '70s Chevelle or something like that, and they make like the tube, the subframe or whatever. But it's just that car. It's the way racing is supposed to be, right? And that's what I grew up watching NASCAR and the whole thing. But we would go to that race, and they ran like 88, 89. So I'm just a munchkin seeing this kind of stuff. And my dad later ran a Volkswagen Rabbit in the Enduros there. They would have a Memorial Day Enduro and a Labor Day Enduro. 300 laps. They do 150 laps on the half mile forward.
Is that where the love from like the Rabbit came from? Like the Volkswagen?
No, we are a Volkswagen family.
That's
Smiths
that's okay.
Yeah, all Smiths everywhere actually. They either know it or don't know it yet. But yeah, so my dad had and actually he bought it was an old SCCA like club car racer, and it was a Volkswagen Rabbit, the 1800. So I think it was I'm pretty sure it was the GTI version. And my dad does the endurance races. It's 150 laps forward.
150 laps?
Yeah, on the half mile.
Solid.
And then they would stop it, and they do 150 laps backwards.
No way.
On the half mile.
That would be so much fun.
Shot.
This is for Memorial Day weekend and for Labor Day weekend. And
they went backwards. Second?
Isn't that weird? Yeah. So, but it's a little four banger, right? It's just
still
just GTI.
Doesn't matter.
It's tubbed out, right? There's nothing in it, right? And they have those. They have V6s. There might have been a restriction on it. I can't remember. Point is that my dad ends up getting wrecked in the Labor Day one, but the Memorial Day one, he runs the whole thing, and thing handles right. Like it's like haul ass, full throttle on the outside, right? Because he didn't have to slow down like the other guys do. The V6s are going by him on the inside on the straightaway, and then he'll lose 2 spots, he'll gain 3. He'll lose 2, he'll gain 3. Anyway, you start talking about orange show and whatnot.
All about being smooth, man.
It just reminds me of
I love
stuff.
that was my biggest thing. My dad always taught me was be smooth, and like he used to come out and watch me at Cal Speed, and he always gave me the be smooth, be smooth out there, because that was really what it was about, was just being as consistent and as smooth as you can be. And I still tell myself that all the time, because I get up, sometimes up on the elbow, and I'm all over the place, and like, you just got to be smooth, man. Put the elbows down,
chill out,
lean back, you're good.
Well, and I know I've heard it from like say Matt Johnson and whatnot. He's talking about doing the late model Irwindale, taking care of that right front. Or taking care of the right rear, even. Like you go in too hard, and you're gonna blow that right front. You get on the fast pedal too hard, and you're gonna lose the right rear. You need to have that thing at the end of the session, or at the end of the race.
The race, yeah.
Being smooth, not
short track racing. That's what it's about.
Yeah,
for
getting
sure.
after it.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
We learned a lot about that with the Evo, with the tires and that we used. The Pinto or the Evo or the mini stock, the tires just lasted forever, but like we could beat the tires, just beat them up. Like that's why we didn't throw the same lap times as my dad did.
Those are probably the same tires that they were using on that Enduro.
Yeah,
we're talking like mid '90s too.
Yeah, these are trash, but it was
fun.
It was fun. It was fun.
The credential story.
Oh, let's go.
The credential story.
This is honestly probably one of the best stories to come out of like SB Raceway as a group.
This is the highlight moment.
Yeah,
they're gonna have this on their,
I think this is why they quit league racing
later on. Jeez.
You know what? I don't even think it was a league. I think we were getting ready. It was either someone's birthday or we were getting ready for the 24.
No. Was
it a league race?
This was a league race. It had to have been a league race. It had to be a league race.
It might have been.
It was the second season, I think it was. It wasn't the first. It was the second season.
Or maybe even third, because I wanted to race something, and I ran in 12 at some point. I think that's when this happened.
The third season never finished. So the first season they had a trophy. Second season I won. They didn't have a trophy. Third season was starting, and it was a different race promoter type of.
Yeah,
and that's at the same time Luke was getting out from Mark, and that whole controversy of.
I'm not sure if
that's a good story too.
Yeah,
that's a karting conversation.
Good golly, I'd love to have Luke Vasquez on my.
That's a good guest. You should do that.
Oh, we could talk for a long time.
Yeah.
So what happened with this the credentials?
Okay, so this was a longer race, I believe. It was a long enough race to where I could we could lap people. Mm-hmm. And there was enough races that I don't remember all of them, but I remember getting through the field. I was sitting first. I was sitting P1. The crew chief driver, Jimmy, was behind me, or his driver was. The crew chief was like in last place. He knew he was losing, so he was going to block for his driver, so his driver could win. Mm-hmm. And I'm coming up to him, and he blocks me, and he puts me in the wall, puts me in the wall. It was like three turns like that. I just got put into the wall and like had to make up this time. At this time, his driver is now making, moves towards me and trying to catch up. At this point, all the other drivers at the track, I think Mike and Rodney, are all starting to catch up to me now, and seeing what this driver's doing, et cetera, et cetera. And I think I had a mustache. I was doing it for the Marvelous Mustaches of March for Random Man.
What a title!
Wow. What a title, right? Marvelous Mustaches of March. And I was doing the mustache for that, and I finally get around him. I think I ended up winning. I think I ended up winning at the end of the day, and we get out of the carts and we take our helmets off. We're hanging out inside. I was like, man, I think that move that you made, trying to block me was, a little disrespectful. He was like, well, I think your mustache is disrespectful.
Jesus.
And I lost it.
They'd only mentioned that if they really believed in what they said.
I lost it so much. I had people that like I knew that worked there. They were laughing, and I was like, "Oh."
Did this guy have a mustache, or was he?
No, he was
lack of facial hair.
Yeah.
Is that really what?
Because it might be.
I don't remember. I think he had a goatee. I think he had a small goatee.
Oh yeah, those don't count.
That's small. His driver didn't care. His driver was like, "I don't care. I'm a modified driver. I'm going to be the next Jimmy Johnson type of guy." Mm-hmm. Like he didn't. Like he was the bee's knees.
It was a go-kart race.
He's actually a really good modified driver. Like really good. But he was just so at karting, and so I was like, man, I thought that was disrespectful, and he hits me with that one. And we're somewhere along the lines, he goes, or Rodney comes up, Rodney Bryant. Rodney Bryant was a big supporter of Darren Mercer back in the day of SB Raceway and stuff, and he was like, "Whoa, man, that's not cool." Like, and he turns around and he was like, "Well, what are your credentials for it?" And everybody lost it. I think Mike Smith lost it. Mike Smith was there. He's like, "Well, actually, I actually do have some credentials." I was like, "I have no credentials. I'm lost on this."
Mine are checking your pockets.
Yeah,
mine
I'm like,
are my car.
I don't have my mustache is my credential.
Yeah.
It was the whole credentials thing is
awesome.
A nonstop story for us.
It basically was a situation where the guy was talking shit. And I was like kind of getting like, no, actually, dude, you're wrong, right? I thought you're wrong, and he's like, what are your credentials? And it's like, well, I do run the track over here, and I'm the race director, etc. But yeah, it was a freaking blast.
So everybody has to have credentials now when they talk to Mike Smith.
Just to be able to chat with him.
The Mike Smith rules credentials.
Oh man, Darren Mercer, I really appreciate you coming out and hanging out with us, buddy.
Dude, I feel honored to have you guys have me as a guest here.
Doing amazing. The live
Definitely
show.
Good time.
I'm not sure. Hopefully you guys actually think this is halfway decent. This is something, again, we're not doing the live thing all the time. We're going to do occasional live shows. It's all going to be podcast like this. With
Go
the
back and
exception
listen to it later.
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. Whether it be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, we're going to have all that kind of stuff up there. We've got a website on Buzzsprout that we're going to be getting out there. But we are going to be doing some special live stuff, hopefully, when we get back to rolling here and go racing again. And we're also going to do some on-site stuff, hopefully at some race shops and some stuff like that. To
Maybe at some other races, too.
Exactly,
hopefully.
Yeah, do some either live stuff at races. We're going to have multiple guests, maybe, or doing the thing at race shops, kind of give some love that way. At the end of the day, if you want to be on the show, let us know. And we'd love to have you and chat it up and have a karting conversation with you. We're going to be putting these things out here every week for the next few weeks. And then once we start having the day jobs to go back to normal, we'll probably go every other week because it's going to be a lot of work to edit and stuff like that. But before we let you go here, Darren, if someone wanted to get some promotional products or something like that, let's throw you a little bit of love here on this this new direction. How are they going to get a hold of you? How are they going to make some of that happen?
The best way probably is through our website, and4us.com is probably the best way to do it. If not, shoot me a message on Facebook. You can always find me, Darren Mercer, or through Instagram, dmerc, spelled with a 3 on the E. And shoot me a message. If you're looking to help promote your business, or race team, whether it's T-shirts, hats, pens, business cards, I can definitely help throw your name on it.
Nice.
Sweet.
Nice. And if you need to have credentials made, I'm sure you could probably do that as well.
He has a stack he's still waiting to hand out.
Yeah.
He's like, this is still being updated.
Yeah. It's like the what you said earlier, the business cards in the
programs.
In
the programs?
The programs.
Yeah.
Get your programs, my business card.
Yeah, I'm excited for the All-Star race. I just want to give a quick shout out. I'm really excited about the All-Star. I know it's a little bit of ways away, but
it's definitely on everyone's minds lately.
It's my one race weekend that I'm going to come out, or I guess two, that and Machismo. But I'm really excited about the All-Star race. Hopefully I can. I would love to be able to win it. And I would love to come out and do some Classico and Technico racing. If someone wants to sponsor me, shout out to me real quick.
And also replace him as an official.
Yeah. That too.
That's mostly the sponsorship. Finding a replacement.
To do it in the first place. Man, thanks again. Appreciate it. Thanks everybody for actually hanging out with us on the internet.
Yes.
We didn't do any of the questions or anything like that. Again, we're not going to be doing the live thing, but we are going to be putting out there who our guests are going to be in the future in advance. So you guys can hit us up. We haven't gotten that far yet. We have recorded the next 3, so the next 4 episodes are already done. But after that, you'll be able to ask some questions in advance. Darren Mercer, really appreciate it. Thanks again.
Thank you, guys.
Derek,
always
another one
time.
of the books.
Yeah.
Rock and roll.
We only have...
Do you guys have like a closing thing?
Many more to go.
That you guys say when you guys close?
And we're done.
That's the way it was.
That's the way it was.
That's how the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, thank you. That's
what it is. Now we're going to get in trouble.
Shit.
Bruce Almighty? Or
now you got to come up with like a random saying.
No, we do. I'll have to insert it on post-production because I don't have anything right now. We're supposed to have an outro music.
Yeah, she left.
Nice.
Yeah, we're going to get a good edit on everything. We'll have some music.
Yeah, I'm probably going to edit all this out. That's what I'm going to do.
Love it.
All right. Hey, guys, thank you so much. We're going to turn you off, but thanks for hanging out with us. And we'll see you at the next Fullcaster podcast.